I want to buy this house.
All right.
It is being, people are living in it. It was being leased. They had a lease. The lease was up in November.
All right. And there's a month-to-month tenancy if the lease has not been renewed by both parties.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I called the realtor company that was handling the lease.
All right, wait a minute. Is the house for sale?
Yes, it's a repo house.
Yeah.
The savings and loan owns it.
Right.
And it is for sale.
And they want to get rid of it?
According to the realtor company, yes.
Okay.
The property is for sale.
So far, so good.
Okay. I called them, and they said, well, the people that are in it have first rights. They're going to sign a new lease here in November.
They have first right of refusal.
I guess.
All right.
I said, fine. When I explained to the realtor man, I said, I own the property next to this house. I want to buy the house. He said, well, you can go ahead and buy it when they're leasing it. And I didn't think that was a real good idea. So I said, no, I don't want to buy it. You know, when they're in it, I want to buy it without them in it. So anyway.
Let me tell you something. You're using your head there because if they want to sell it badly enough, and I suspect the savings and loan wants to.
But I'm not talking to the savings and loan. I'm talking to this realtor.
Well, why don't you talk to the savings and loan directly? Go call their real estate office.
I need advice on what to do here.
Well, look,
let me finish telling you.
But let me explain something to you.
Yes, sir.
They, particularly in Texas, they want out of as many properties as they can, assuming that the price you're offering is a reasonable one.
I haven't even offered anything.
Well, assuming that that's the case, though, we got to get past that.
Yes, sir.
They're going to want to do a deal with you. And if that means, and you don't want to buy a property with somebody living in it because then the onus is on you to kick them out and all that sort of thing. Who needs that?
Right.
Go ahead, your turn.
They didn't sign the lease. So here it comes around January. I talked to the people. I have horses out there on my property, so I talked to the people, and they said, well, the realtor company wants us to sign a new lease. I said, oh my God. I said, do y'all want to live here? They tried to buy it, and the bank, savings loan, would not sell it to them.
They didn't have them. You mean they weren't creditworthy? You mean?
I don't know why. They gave some kind of excuse. They just didn't want to sell it to them.
Well, wait a minute. No, let's back up. Is the place for sale?
Yes, sir.
Then you're telling me they didn't qualify. There's nothing.
Right. Yes,
there's a difference.
Right.
Go ahead.
Whatever their excuse was, it boils down to they didn't qualify.
Okay, fine. That's a little different matter than they didn't want to sell it to them. Go ahead.
Right. So here I find out from them that they wanted to sign them a new lease. So I called up this realtor company.
Yeah, why do you keep dealing with them, by the way?
I don't, because I guess I'm a nice guy, I guess.
Well,
I guess I better quit being a nice guy.
Exactly.
Go directly with the savings and loan?
Absolutely. Go down and talk to an officer and say, look, you got a piece of property like a lot of people. You probably got a lot of stuff on your books you want to get rid of.
Yes, sir.
I'm interested in buying this place, but I'm getting all kinds of smoke blown in my face from this real estate office. Now, I know factually the guys who live in the house now do not have a lease, a month-to-month tenancy. I'm willing to do a deal to buy this place. Let's talk.
Very good idea.
And just get, I get so frustrated, not with you certainly in this instance, but having to deal with 15 minor functionaries. If I want to do a deal, I don't want to do it on a telephone. I want to get on an airplane. I want to go and spend an hour in your office, get it done, and get out.
Okay. Now, they told me the savings and loan had said that they still have to honor this lease if the people sign it. Well, see,
but there is no lease in effect other than a month-to-month tenancy if it ran out in November.
Correct. He said they're going to sign it by the end of February, and I don't want to wait another year.
Get on your horse, no pun intended.
Okay, that's great. I will do that.
Go talk to I'm not talking to some minor league one step up from a junior teller.
No, sir.
Get to somebody with a vice president after their name, because I have to believe that they are anxious to unload every property they can. Every non-conforming loan or non-performing loan is one piece. They don't need it.
Yes, sir. Now, one other small item.
Here it comes.
No, everything's fine. I just want any legal aspects. When I bought this property, there's 2 acres next to this house.
Yeah.
Their barn was, there's 4 acres there, with a barn, the house, the barn, and another shed. Their barn is sitting on my 2 acres. It's sitting a foot on my 2 acres.
Well, you might point out that that's a big hook. You see,
is it?
Oh, absolutely, because you're going to say to them, furthermore, there's an encroachment here. And you're not going to be able to sell it to anybody else with this encroachment until you settle with me.
Okay.
It would be a whole lot easier for me to combine these 2 properties, and there's no more encroachment. You're out from under. Goodbye.
Okay. I didn't know if being I knew there was an encroachment, I went ahead and bought it anyway.
I didn't hear you say that.
Oh, okay.
I never heard that.
All right.
There's an encroachment. I found out about this. Your property is your barn is encroaching on my. What do you mean? Please don't
cloud the issue.
All you know is, by golly, there's an encroachment here.
Right.
Just came to my attention.
Right. Okay, sir.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. Delighted you're here on Talknet. Dayton, Ohio. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello, sweetheart. How are you?
Fine, thanks. I need your help. Back in September, I took my car in for some repairs for a mechanical problem.
Okay.
And it was covered under warranty.
Okay.
And because it was taking so long to get it repaired, they gave me a rental car. Well, they sent me to a rental place to get the car, and I had to sign for it, but it was covered under warranty.
What was covered under warranty?
Both the repairs and the rental, because it was taking them so long to figure out what.
Oh, you have one of those deals that after so many days they give you a rental car?
Yeah, and they just automatically offered it because.
No, wait a minute. Wait. Slow down. What's your first name?
My name's Sharon.
Sharon, a lot of times the automobile dealers will give you a loaner, but and on some warranties, it is not not a privilege but a right. And in other cases, it's strictly it's a courtesy. Now, which are we talking about here? Is this a right under your contract?
An educated guess would be that it was a service that they gave me. A courtesy, yeah.
Okay, go. You can see a difference between the two.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
But simply because it was taking them so long to figure out what was wrong with the car, they decided to give me a rental in the meantime.
Well, give you or tell you there's a rental place down the street?
There's a rental place down the street, but they secured the car for me, and they took me up there. They put me in the car, except I had to sign on the dotted line.
That's what I'm getting to. I want to know is who rented the car, you or them?
I actually rented the car, but they had guaranteed payment.
Oh, they told you we're paying for this?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, this was back in September. I returned the car on October 14th.
Wow, how long did you have it?
From September the 20th to October the 14th.
3 weeks.
Yeah. I got the car's a lemon, but that's another story.
Yeah.
So, today I get a letter in the mail from the rental place that says, your body shop has failed to pay for the rental and you owe $303.
Absolutely.
Well, I understand that I am responsible for the bill ultimately because I signed on that line. However, you assume that your dealer that's covering this under warranty but
that may not be a valid assumption, just as if you travel for business, as I do, and more often than not, when I stay at a hotel, it's being paid for by whoever I'm working with.
Sure.
But on that hotel thing, it says if a third party doesn't pay, Williams, you must, and I agree with that.
And I do.
And the same thing is true here. That doesn't in any way, shape, form, or regard prohibit you from going after the dealer.
Well, absolutely. I called the dealer today, and all I had to say was my name, and she said, "Oh, I know what you're calling about, and it's taken care of, so don't worry about it." Well, the bottom line on this letter was, you're going to collections if this isn't paid immediately, and it's got my name on the top of it.
Unhappily, Sharon, there's not much you can do about that.
Well,
the responsibility is yours. Their responsibility is to you. And I know you feel bruised, but that's the way it is. Good luck, hon. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. Remind you tomorrow, noon to 5:30, we're going to be here. It's noon to 5:30 Eastern Time. Taking those calls of yours off the air. Bing, bang, boom, off the air. No commercial interruptions in terms of the recording session, so we get them along real quickly. And that's a bad term. I apologize. Commercials aren't an interruption. They're what keep us in business, and we appreciate your business. You might think about that. If you like what you hear, and you need a service or a product. Why not use our advertisers' products and let them know the reason why? It's Middlesex, Vermont. Hello there.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you very much for taking my call, Bruce.
You're most welcome. Thanks for your call. What's up?
Well, I'm one of your nobodies.
Yes, sir.
And I have a bunch of people here that are trying to take over my property by going on both sides of me and cutting the woods down.
How nice.
Oh, yeah.
This is they're cutting the woods down on your property or property adjacent to your property?
Well, adjacent to my property on both sides.
Lovely.
But on the other side, well, they have done it on one side. Mm-hmm. But on the other side,
are these people taking the woods down to sell the wood?
They're cutting it for timber.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're harvesting the wood.
Right. Well, what I want you to know is on the other side, they have to go through my property the way there's a brook here.
Mm-hmm.
The way they have to go is through my property to get up in there.
Well, you don't have to let them go across your property. I can't imagine eminent domain applies here.
Well, this is what I'm trying to tell them. And they're getting very forceful.
How do they get forceful?
Well, I'm kind of disabled. We won't get into that, but I'm kind of disabled.
Yeah.
And they just figured that they can muscle me around.
Right.
And I cannot afford a lawyer. And I'm just telling them, do it, and we're going to have trouble.
Well, what kind of trouble? I mean, you don't make a threat unless you can carry it out.
No. I will get the law involved if I have to.
Well, that's fine. The first thing you got to do is go in and post your property. No trespassing.
Okay. That I haven't done.
Well, you should do that because people, without a no trespassing sign, you got a serious problem, particularly in a wooded area. I would always thought that the presumption was you can't trespass, but that's why you got to post property for hunting and whatever. Otherwise, there's a presumption that people can come on. You got to go out.
I guess I'm one of those super industrial strength stupid people.
No, it's not stupid. I don't like. It seems to me it's perfectly illogical, but you should post your property, no trespassing for any reason.
I guess you're right.
And then if they're on your property, you call the local gendarmes and say, these people are on my property without my permission, and I want to prefer charges.
Yeah, well, I'm one of those people that don't like to do things like that.
Well, then let them go across your property then.
No. That they're not going to do.
Well, those are your choices.
I understand. Well, thank you for your, I'm not trying to hold up your time.
Not at all. That's what I'm here for. But the first thing you should do is post it.
Okay.
Do you have the ability to do that? You said you have a problem, a handicap. Can you get down there and post it?
No, I can't, really.
Can you get somebody to do it for you?
Yes, if I can get hold of my son on weekends, we can do that.
Well, fine. You go to the hardware store, they'll sell you the no trespassing signs. They're probably $0.25 a piece. Get down with a staple gun and staple them up. And find out how often in most areas, it's about every 100 feet you got to have one.
Right.
And it's also illegal, by the way, for them to rip them down.
I understand that.
If they rip them down, you bring a charge against them for that as well.
Okay.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. I'm delighted you're here. You're on Talknet. Atascadero, California. Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
I am well, thank you. Where in the world is Atascadero?
Central California. Yeah, how about halfway between L.A. and San Francisco.
Got you covered. Up Santa Maria way up that area?
Yeah, about 45 minutes north of there.
Gotcha. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm thinking about buying this little bar.
All right. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of nervous. I've never been in business before, and I got to give the gal an answer by tomorrow.
Well, let's back up.
Okay.
Talk to me a little bit about you. How old are you?
I'm 36.
What do you do for a living now? What have you been doing for the last, say, 10 years? Round number. I don't want every job.
I've been a mom. That's what I've been doing.
Well, what did you do before?
My husband was a truck driver.
Right.
And he quit the business, and there hasn't been any income coming in for the past 6 months.
What is he doing?
Been sitting around here,
Sitting around?
Yeah, thinking about what we're going to do with the rest of our life. And this is probably not what I want to do for the rest of my life, but...
California layback, huh?
Well, kind of right now. We sold the house in L.A., so we had a little cash to fall back on for a while, And so now I'm getting to the point where, you know, it's time to get up off our rump and get
How
going
much,
here.
you see, I'm trying to get to is that any business requires some experience, and the bar business is a very tough business.
Okay, now this is a little beer and wine bar.
Yeah.
I've had experience behind a bar before I got married. You know, I used to work in the bars.
What, as a barmaid?
Yeah, I worked as a barmaid back then.
All right.
So I've got a little experience behind there.
This place sells strictly beer and wine. That's it.
That's it.
No food.
Hot dogs and chili and chips. You know.
Is it how long has it been in business?
Been in business 10 years.
How's it doing?
It seems to be keeping itself. I looked at the books, and all I saw was up to August. That's all I was available to me. I didn't see what was between August and now.
Well, how much is it doing?
She says she netted up to August. She netted 11,000, but she operated at a loss for the first few months because of some. She had to buy equipment and.
All right, so what are we buying here? We're buying the equipment. We're not buying the real estate.
No, we're not buying real estate. We're just buying
the equipment
business
and the license and whatever.
Right.
How much does she want for this?
She had it listed for 90, and I offered her 85, and she went for it.
Oh, I'll bet she would. I bet you offered her 60, she'd have gone for it too.
I'm sure. It's either the other people are wanting to buy it, or the people that used to own it, and she's carrying a note for her, and I've been talking to the locals, and I hear that she's pretty tight, and she probably won't give her what she sold it to her for.
How much did she pay for it?
I was told she paid 80 for it. Probably paid too much for it.
And you're paying even more.
Yeah, and
well, why?
Well, that's what I'm calling you for. I mean, it's not. We haven't closed the deal yet or anything, and we're still negotiating prices. And I think that there's money to be made in it.
Why do you think that?
Well, I spent a couple of days in there working behind the bar with her, and I've been scoping it out. It's pretty busy. The accountant seems to think that there's money to be made in there.
Your accountant?
Yeah.
Why does he come to that conclusion?
Well, he was also their accountant at one time, and he thinks that
You see, you're walking in.
Yeah, I know.
With your bare face hanging out. What is your husband's role in this whole thing?
He's wanting to do something too, but we're not sure. We're novices. We've never been in the business.
But he's been sitting around for 6 months doing nothing?
Right.
I think you're making a very risky decision.
You think so?
Well,
I know.
I hate to pick on your old man, but how do you justify sitting around for 6 months doing nothing in your early 30s?
Well, we had something to fall back on. We wouldn't, he wouldn't, the guy was burnt out, and I was there, and I said, that's okay, go ahead and do what you need to do. I think he's going through midlife crisis.
How old is he?
He's 40.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, without that, I mean, if he's not going to be, right in there pitching with you.
He's going to be in there pitching in with me.
How much money you got stashed away, you guys?
Got 130.
How much are you going to give this woman down?
Well, we were thinking giving her 50 down.
Too much. I don't think the business is worth what you're paying for it.
Yeah, they've had it a year. She's a young gal. She's like 26, getting married.
And why does she want out?
She's getting married and wants to move up to Oregon. And she owns it with her dad, and her dad's got a bad back, and he wants to, he can't handle it by himself, and that's the story I hear from them.
Well, it sounds like a good story.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like it's overpriced, too. But you haven't given me enough information to play with. I mean, what it's grossing, what it's netting, how many hours it's open, how many people you have to employ, how would you be married to this enterprise. There's too many variables. And on top of this, I understand being burned out and the rest of that routine, but I really can't imagine a guy that's taken 6 months off, even with your probation, is going to leap in there and put an 80-hour day in. And that's what's required here. I think I'd give a lot of thought before I jeopardize the capital that you've been fortunate to acquire through the sale of the house. I do wish you well, Ken. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Waltham, Mass. Hello there.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, I listen to you all the time. I never thought I'd have a problem to call you, but I do now.
I'm sorry?
I said I never thought I'd have a problem to have to call you, but I do now.
Well, that's been said before. What's happening, my friend?
Well, about 6 years ago, I got in trouble with a lot of credit cards and ended up filing. And the bankruptcy.
Okay.
It was cleared as of August of '85.
All right.
I went this Christmas to buy something at a jewelry store where I started reestablishing myself, where I do have a MasterCard and a jewelry store card.
Okay.
They always check before you buy anything with a TRW.
Do they really?
Yeah. Every
time tonight this has happened. I never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, well, the jewelry store company did.
They get an instant credit report every time you buy, no matter what size the purchase?
Yep. And my limit was $500. It was only a $300 pin. And they turned me down.
Pin or pen?
Pin.
Okay.
Like a little pin.
Yeah, okay. If you threw all the pens, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I drove home and thinking, why they suddenly turned me down, I called back and talked to the manager. And she said, you have a delinquency on your account from a major store, I won't mention the name, closed as of June 90. And I asked her the name of the store, and I said, that was included in the bankruptcy of '85. And she said, no, it was closed as of June 90. And that's why they turned me down. So I called the company that showed up on my report and talked to their lawyer. He said, well, I have it listed in your bankruptcy. I said, right, but it just ruined my Christmas because it was the day before Christmas. They turned me down. I couldn't buy my mother a Christmas gift, and it was your company that did it. Oh, we'll take care of it, he says. Oh, well, this is after making 5 phone calls to them. When they owe you owe them money, they call you right away.
This is the store, the store, or the credit reporting agency?
The store that was on the report.
Yeah, you called the store itself.
I called their lawyer.
Right.
And left 5 different messages before he finally returned my call.
Right.
He said, yes, it is listed here as under the bankruptcy. I said, well, it just showed closed as of June 90. I said, he says, who did you talk to? I said, I called your credit department at your store, and they said that they sent me notices, which they never did, that the account is going as a delinquent. And he said, well, we'll take care of that. We'll contact all the major credit bureaus. Well, I went back to the jewelry store. I've already talked to the girl, and she was good enough to accept my credit again, but it was too late at that point. And I said to her, could you do me a favor? This was just last week, and this happened at Christmas time. I said, could you check
again and see if it's off the report?
I did, last week.
That's what I said. That's what you said to her, right?
Yeah, right.
And she said, son of a gun, it's still there.
Yeah. Now, can I have any recourse against them?
Yeah, you can sue them. And you may be successful.
Yeah.
Because you've been injured.
Yeah. Well, I've called him 2 more times since then to tell him that it's still not on.
And what do they say?
He doesn't return my phone calls.
Well, you've been injured, clearly.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, to what extent?
Yeah. Well, you can say emotional distress because it ruined the Christmas, you know.
I'm not certain you can collect on emotional distress. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
When they have made an error, you call it to their attention, they haven't corrected it, you've been injured. I don't have any question about that.
Well, the letter they sent me that they sent to the credit bureaus stated was covering the bankruptcy, but they put no date to say it was as of '85.
They didn't say that, or they did say?
It didn't say. It just said included in bankruptcy, that was it. So how are they supposed to know when the bankruptcy was? And he's still not returning my phone calls. And then this is another question combined with this. It was only $120, and it is a major department store that I do like. And the girl says, well, I can't think of the word, when you pay the bill anyway, and they reopen the account for you. Yeah. Now, I told her that's not legal. If I was to pay you off.
No, that's not true. It certainly is legal.
It is?
Yeah, you can pay them even though the bill has been discharged.
Yeah.
You can go to them and say, I want to pay anyway.
But someone told me that if I did that, then any other company that I owed money to at the bankruptcy can come after me, call me favoritism.
That might have been at the time.
Yeah.
But not now.
Yeah.
Not now. I don't believe that's the case. 5 years later? No, I don't think so.
So do you think
Whether you want to do that or not is another question. It's up to you.
But do you think I have any chance of getting any legal ways against a major company like that?
Well, it's not a question of against a major company. I think you've been damaged, but to what extent? That they get turned down for a $300 credit item. I don't think that's going to be considered. If you were trying to buy a home and the deal fell through and you'd lost a house that was worth $100 and you're only paying $60, that would be a different matter.
Yeah.
But the fact that a jewelry purchase, I don't think you've been damaged enough to make it worth going after.
Now, we're already almost 6 years of the bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
I have reestablished myself with a major MasterCard.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And they've turned to gold on me. So I have reaffirmed myself, and this is, as I said, through a wrench in it.
So why didn't you go out and just use your MasterCard to charge the PIN?
It was a principle. I want
Christmas Eve, and you wanted to buy your mother a present. Where's the principle?
Well, I didn't have the card with me. I only brought the jewelry card.
Oh, okay.
At the point. But, well, if I was to the word is reaffirm with their credit department, would that make them wipe that off the credit rating totally?
Well, it should come off anyway.
Yeah.
Whether or not they'll give you credit again is another question. Not you might go back to them and say, look, in return for what you did to me, how about extending me credit again for a modest amount?
I tried that. She said, no, they will not open a new account. If you want to reaffirm, it was only $120.
Mm-hmm.
She said, you want to reaffirm, pay up the $120, we'll give you the same account. But we cannot give...
All right. Well, it's up to you if you want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would or I wouldn't.
Well, I had said to her, since you've already caused damage, couldn't you just throw that $120 away and just give me the account back?
Mm-hmm.
And they said there's no way they could do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's their choice. They don't have to give you credit.
Okay.
I do wish you well, my friend. I do indeed. Joliet, Illinois. Hello there.
Good morning. Good evening.
Good day. I'll get at you every time.
Thank you for taking my call so quickly. I have a question for you. Can you tell me approximately what the markup is on flowers?
What kind of flowers?
From a florist shop.
Fresh flowers?
Fresh flowers and including their labor.
Well, no, wait a minute. The markup on the flower itself, I could tell you within a couple of points because I'm in the flower business. But labor varies from area to area.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be, I think, wise to increase your home equity loan. What interest rate is the home equity loan?
8.5.
I'd get a new home equity loan if you can, at anywhere near that price.
Yeah.
But, now, what's your first name?
Jean.
Jean, raise your right hand.
Okay, I've got it.
But,
yes.
Understand we are going to pay that portion of the home equity loan in 3 years.
Uh-huh.
That way the interest is totally tax deductible, as contrasted with a car loan where there is no 10% this year, which is next to nothing. All right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, you could take that $14,000 or $15,000 and easily invest it for 8%, 9% tax-free.
How?
Tax-free municipal bonds.
Oh, okay.
But the caveat, I've got to let you go.
Mm-hmm.
The caveat is don't get the idea, well, I'll do it for 5 or 6 years. You don't pay for a car in 5 or 6 years. 3 years outside.
So that would be just take out another equity loan.
Now,
or increase the one we have?
Increase it, but if that's going to disturb the 8% interest rate that you have now, they say it's going to be a lot more than forget it than pay cash.
See, the interest rate on a new automobile,
forget that,
between 12 and 14%.
We don't discuss that because that isn't the issue. That's no longer deductible.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid. If you have the cash, you pay cash.
Uh-huh.
What I'm trying to do is maneuver your tax position if you have the strength of character, and I believe you should, to use the monies in the manner that I've described and pay it in 3 years. That's the size of it. If it's going to disturb that 8% home equity loan, maybe and goose that $6,000, the percentage to 10 or something, then forget about the whole thing. Then you pay cash. I do wish you well. Seattle, Washington. I'll get to you in just a moment. But in the meantime, I got to say, I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
Our toll-free number is 1-800-825-5638. Write it down.
I would be remiss not to thank Sheila Jaskin for her labors today. She is working her off and doing a very fine job. Nice to work with young people. It is indeed. Seattle, hello there.
Hey, Bruce. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
Great. Got a little problem. I've lived in a building for about a year, and the tenants have told us that we're not allowed on the roof.
The other tenant, you've lived there, you're a tenant.
Oh, I'm sorry, the management. I'm just a little bit nervous here.
Okay. What's up on the roof?
A beautiful sun deck. We're talking barbecues, planter boxes.
All right. How come you can't go up?
Well, it turns out that a couple years back, someone threw a major appliance off the roof. Some probably
Slightly
people.
Slightly inebriated or something?
Something of that sort.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've wanted to get up there occasionally, you know, do some astronomy homework, who knows. And what's bothered me is their assistant managers. Sometimes I catch them coming down from a nice romantic dinner on the roof, and I say, hey, you know, we're not allowed up there. The insurance is supposed to be the reason that we're not supposed to be up there, right? So I said, what gives you the right? Then I went and confronted the top management and said, is there any way that we can get a petition going and maybe increase the rent, have some responsibilities for the tenants to take care of the roof? They'd say, absolutely not.
Well, that's their privilege.
Well, should I go above them to their upper management?
Oh, well, that's another matter. You see, maybe the managers just have a real nice thing going up there. It's their own little private sinecure.
Yeah, it's gorgeous up there.
Well, but how many people are in the building?
It's 8 floors, 16 per floor. I don't know.
Big building.
Yeah.
Do you think you get enough people to agree that they'd all willing to throw in an extra $5 a month or something to pay for the insurance? Or
I think so, and getting a few signatures and having some responsible people.
Yeah, go talk to them. I can understand where they're coming from, though. They had a big problem. Said, the heck with this, close it.
Right. Well,
I can appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, get on it.
Go good.
All right, take it easy.
Good luck, my friend. You understand the frustration of management, though, in a situation of that kind. They provided a nice facility and somebody screws it up and then causes them a serious problem. Off we go to Phoenix. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Great. I got a problem, Bruce. Maybe you can help me out with. At the end of March, I closed out a checking account with a bank here, and I bounced a check.
You closed out an account?
I closed out the account. Then about 3 weeks later, I received notice from the bank that I bounced a check because of no sufficient funds.
Well, they would bounce it not for insufficient funds, but account closed.
Right. Well, the merchant called me up, and I went and paid.
So who called you? Oh, the merchant. Yeah.
Yes, I went and paid the merchant directly. He gave me the check.
Right.
I figured the problem was resolved.
But the bank wants some kind of a processing fee.
Well, they want the whole fee because they paid the merchant too.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Why they do that?
They just said, I really don't know, Bruce. I have a letter right here. I have a threatening letter saying they're going to send me to a collection agency.
How much was the check for?
It was for $25.
Have you gone back to the merchant?
Yeah, I went back to the merchant.
What does he say?
Check.
What does he? You what?
He gave me the check back, but I in turn lost it.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
What's he say?
Oh, he says you paid it. He'll write me a letter stating that I paid it.
Yeah, but how come? What does he say about the bank paying him too?
He had no answer for that, Bruce.
I think you're not going to like what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
It'd be easier to pay the $25.
Is that right?
Yeah. You see, if you had the check, I'd say no. But you screwed up losing the check.
Yeah.
Now, I'd get a letter from the merchant saying that. But see, the merchant's not going to want to take the hit for $25. He's got the extra $25 in his account someplace.
But he got paid twice.
That's right. And clearly, he's the one who's responsible. But I got a feeling, though, over the long pull, it's going to take more out of your hide than it's worth. That's what it comes down to. But I'd go to the merchant, try to get a letter from him, and the $25 from him. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Let's go now to home of Wood Radio, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
About 9 months ago, you helped me out of a jam, and we had a private road, and one member of the road wasn't paying for road maintenance, all kinds of stuff, and you said take him to court. And we did, and the judge didn't even have a trial. We got jerked around by the other guy's lawyers a little bit, but the judge said, hey, it's in the contract, you pay.
What was his position? He had lawyers. What were they?
Well,
how did they argue this?
He had lawyers for oh gosh, how did it go so long ago? We filed small claims for $150.
Yeah.
He got a lawyer, and the lawyer sent a letter blowing some smoke. Then he turned it into a jury trial.
Naturally. He tried to take it up to a higher court.
Then he backed off on the jury trial the day of the jury trial after everybody involved took a day off of work.
Why didn't the guy want to pay?
Well, okay. He did not. His land gets cut in half basically by this private road, and he enters his main entrance through a road connected to the main road and not the private road, but he is in the contract
of course
with the association.
Right.
I was willing to cut him a deal. You said don't bother, it's legal. But I told him to get the other members in the association to agree to it and get it in writing and keep it legal. But it was a no way. And
well, I'm glad the judge saw it your way. So where are we going today?
Okay. Now, I'd like, the neighborhood's pretty tense right now. It's not a real great atmosphere. I'd like to see if we could smooth it out, maybe get things in writing. Maybe we need an association like a condo association where the president's bonded and fees.
A little neighborhood association, sure. Why not?
Because we were kind of running it, seat of the pants. Yeah. It was no big deal. Everybody chipped in when they needed to.
I think it'd be wise to say. How many people are involved here? How many how many properties, I guess?
7.
All right. So what would you want to, what are the various things that you have joint responsibility for? Clearly the road is the...
Yeah, now that's all documented,
what else?
And legal. Snow removal.
That's the road, too.
That's the important thing.
All right, now,
some people want to plant flowers and trees and stuff, but...
those are important things, too.
Yeah. If we could, work with the majority rules or...
Yeah, well, wait a while now. How much is it going to cost to keep the road maintained and plowed in the course of a year? About?
A couple hundred each a year. Well, maybe 300 tops.
You're saying $2,100?
Yeah. Okay.
$2,100.
Yep.
Well, you draw up a budget, and you can loosely. What I would be inclined to do is have a corporation formed.
Okay.
Do you carry insurance on that road?
No.
Damn well better.
Yep, that's what I was afraid you'd say.
Well, I mean, I'm involved in a little development, private community. There's 14 of us, right? You can bet your life we have the property insured, the communal property. You have to have.
Okay.
What happens if somebody has an accident?
Yep.
You bet.
Well, now,
you draw up what you do is you form a little association. You draw up some very simple bylaws.
Okay.
And then you go from there. And I would overassess them, by the way. If 21 is your budget, I would shoot for 28, $400 a family.
Now, we had a lawyer tell us that we could form an association, but everybody did not have to belong. Kind of like you don't have to belong to a union, but you have to pay the dues.
Well, I'm not even sure they have to pay to do it. That I don't know about.
Well, but we could only bill them for work performed.
All right.
Which kind of messes up the bookkeeping.
Well, sure.
That's how we've been working it with this one party.
He said he still won't go along, huh?
No. Nobody wants to talk to him.
Well, and frankly, for his lousy $300 or $400, I just say we'll bill you for whatever the work performed is, and the rest of us are going to throw in the money.
Okay.
I mean, just read him off. He's going to cause you more aggravation than is necessary. So it seems to me. Good luck, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Madison, Wisconsin. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Got a question on a home that my wife and I built a couple of years ago.
Yes, sir.
We were looking to buy a home, talked to a local real estate firm. They told us that, we looked at some homes with them, and they were taking us through a home, and it was a little bit out of our price range.
Naturally, isn't it always?
Yeah, generally. But what they told us is they said, we can build the same home for you on this other lot over here for less money because we've got some fixtures tied up in this home and this other lot's less expensive.
Mm-hmm. How much was the differential?
About $7,000.
And how much was the house, the first house?
About $65,000.
I'm trying to put it into percentages. 10% then.
Right, about 10%.
All right.
So we went ahead and went on it. We had checked around quite a few places, and that was the best deal we could get. Problem. After we closed on the house, a couple of years later, we got to be friends with the people that had moved into the house that we had been on the walkthrough with.
Yeah.
And one of my children were running back into their bedroom, and I ran back after him and found that the bedroom seemed a little bit larger. Went home, pulled out the floor plan that they had given us to the home we were on the walkthrough in, then pulled out the complete set of building plans that they had given us later. 2 feet difference in the front of they chopped 2 feet off the front of the house. 2 feet right out.
I understand. And you didn't notice this for 2 years?
No. See, we'd never been in the other home, and
But they did give you plans, and those are the plans that you accepted at the price. I think that's the size of it.
Yeah. No repercussions or anything.
Well, if you brought it up before the house was built,
yeah,
I think you could have done something, but not now.
Sure.
Not now.
Yeah, we just happened to be over in the other home and ran back there, and it's like, whoa, this seems large.
Whoa, yeah. No, at this point, you'd have a very difficult time proving what you're telling me.
See, the problem was that they gave us a floor plan. It was not to the home that was being built. They gave us a floor plan during the original walkthrough. And then later they gave us a complete set of building plans that were different. And we had to sign and accept those building plans.
I think at this point, it's a fait accompli.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it's a fait accompli.
Okay. Okay.
I wouldn't worry too much about it at this point. Look, you were happy with the house till the kid ran the back room.
Well, the bedrooms are a little small. I mean, 11 by 11 master bedroom
but you knew,
doesn't do much for you.
No, it doesn't. But you knew that when they built the place. You had nothing to say then.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Right. Okay.
I don't think there's much you can do about it now. You see, because we're talking about, you're in court, and I'm the guy in the black robes, right?
Sure.
So, they told me they're going to build me the same house. The guy says, no, I didn't tell him that. I said I'm going to save him 10% is what I told him. And I gave him the plans, and he looked at the plans, and he lived there for 2 years, never said a word.
Right.
I think you'd have egg on your face.
Okay. Hey, got another question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
How do you feel about early payoffs on homes? They've got the...
Oh, this has been around since long before you were born.
Right.
There are a number of variables. Taxes clearly is one variable.
Right.
The availability of cash for other activities in your life is another. You ought to have some cash for emergencies, not just time, because real estate is an illiquid investment.
Right.
Thirdly, the amount of interest that you're paying, meaning the dollar amount. Then I'm talking the percentage amount. I'm sorry.
Right.
What interest rate are you paying?
10.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you had to say 10. You see, to screw my day. If you said 7, it's an easy answer. If you said 12, an easy answer. 10 is a tough answer.
Right. 10
because
in the middle.
It's exactly right.
Sure.
With taking into do you itemize your taxes?
Yes.
Then you're paying 7.2, not 10. Real cost of money.
Right.
Makes it a tough call. There's a certain something to be said, and this is not a decent financial answer. Matter of fact, it's a bad financial answer. But there's something to be said for owning your house without a mortgage on it, isn't there?
Right.
But on the other side of that, the rascals, the one tax advantage that they left for us after they got done butchering the tax laws in '86 was the real estate tax on your personal dwelling.
Sure.
I mean, they killed the market, but that's another story.
Okay.
It's a tough call.
Okay.
I do wish you well.
Thanks, Bruce.
I'm Bruce Williams. I'm so pleased you've stopped past. This is Talknet. Vermilion, South Dakota. Hello there.
Hi.
Hi, I've been to Vermilion.
You have?
Yes, I have.
Wow. So you have to ask me where it is then, huh?
No, ma'am. I'd have to go up to Sioux Falls, is it, or Sioux City?
Oh, yeah, Sioux Falls and Sioux City.
Just drive up the road there a ways.
Yeah.
What's the name of the town that below you?
Sioux City.
Pardon?
Elk Point.
No, something bigger than that.
Burbank. Meckling.
Well, what can I tell you? I mean,
Omaha.
I should have quit when no, I'm not coming from that direction. Anyway, what's on you have the university there, do you not?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. That's where I'm calling from.
Pardon me?
That's where I'm calling from.
Is that so?
Yeah.
What can I do for you?
Well, I received a card in the mail yesterday.
You didn't.
I did. And it was another one of those things saying you are absolutely guaranteed to receive 2 of the following 5 awards.
Right.
Okay. So I called. And the fine print down the bottom says this is not a contest, sweepstakes, or lottery.
This is a genuine bona fide promotion for merchandise and so on and so forth.
Right. The participant pays $249 for the 2 prizes that I won.
Yeah.
So did I get taken or what?
Well, but you didn't pay him at $249, did you?
Well, yeah, they wanted a credit card number.
And you gave it to him?
Yeah.
Are you all by yourself private right now?
Yeah.
You are. You sure of that now?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to embarrass anybody. I want you to kind of glance down at your chest. Do you have sucker tattooed on it someplace?
Well, now, wait a minute, because I called them back over the noon hour. Okay.
Yeah.
One of them was a 5-day, 4-night Bahama vacation.
Yeah, that's terrific. Okay.
My meals are paid for. This is for 2.
For that, we don't want to talk about names. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
And I don't know. She told me that if I would call my travel agent on the Bahama vacation or the trip to Hawaii, that they could verify it.
Sure.
That pass. Well, okay.
Yeah. You're asking me, right?
And you told me, I think.
You've been hooked.
So how do I get out of it?
Well, that I can't tell you. I mean, when did you commit to this?
Yesterday.
Well, you can call them back, and they're going to say, no, you can't cancel.
Yeah, I know.
$249, huh?
Yeah. Now stop laughing.
You gotta get down to Fort Lauderdale by yourself, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they told me that.
And then you're gonna take a ferry boat.
But now
you're taking a ferry boat over to the Bahamas.
Now they said if I went to Hawaii, though, they'd fly me out of South Dakota.
For how much? For $249?
For 2 of us, 2 adults.
For $249?
Yeah.
You believe in the Tooth Fairy? How about
at this point? I might.
How about the Easter Bunny?
I might be hoping at this point.
It ain't gonna happen, sweetheart. What? It's just that. What can I tell you?
Well, I don't know. I don't like what you've told me so far.
You've been had. I would call them and tell them they can do what they wish. You know what you can call them and tell them?
What?
Have your husband call.
He's the one that wanted me to do this.
Oh, my God. Say my teenage daughter got the mail. And she went to my purse and got my credit card out, and she confessed tonight what she did.
Okay. Sounds as good as anything.
Yeah, I mean, and tell her, look, you may as well. I'm not going along. The kid's only 13, and I don't know what you guys are thinking about. But if she lied to you, that's all right. But I'm not going to pay it. I'm going to put it in contest. And they've heard those stories before, but they may or may not say it's more trouble than it's worth. But you want to go to the Bahamas? Call your travel agent.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish you well, dear.
Thank you, Bruce.
Cincinnati, your turn.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I've been asked to play Solomon, and so I'm going to let you do it instead of me because you're smarter than I am.
Uh-oh, we'll get the knife all greased up here.
My sister, who is 40, lived with my mother, who died just this past holiday season. And we knew at the time that my sister couldn't afford to keep the house, and my brother decided to buy it. The problem is my sister is living in the house, doesn't want to move until my brother can move in because they don't want the house to be empty.
Well, what interest does your sister have in the house other than sentimental at this point?
1/3, just a third share until my brother buys it and pays us off.
Oh, okay.
It's just that's where she was living ahead of, that's where she was living.
All these years.
Right.
Taking care of Mama.
Right. Well, yes. Actually, yes, you're right.
How come she didn't get more than a third?
Well, she does. She will get more of it than a third, but she gets a third of the house.
Okay.
And she gets the extra out of an insurance policy.
I see.
At any rate, she doesn't really want to keep the house either. But anyway, the problem comes in that my brother already owns a home. He doesn't want to, he can't make the financial commitment to buy my mother's home until he sells his.
All right.
When the time comes that he sells his, he wants to be able to move immediately into my mother's house. They're already doing some renovation and some work and that kind of stuff while my sister continues to live there.
All right. Well, you don't sell a house instantly, so there's a certain amount of lead time involved here.
Here's the problem. My sister, in the meantime, has decided that she's not going to be comfortable in an apartment, and she wants to buy a small home.
All right.
Which means that, it's the old-fashioned domino effect. She feels like she can't make a commitment until they can make a commitment. They can't make one until their house sells. But when they do, she's going to be shoved out the door no matter whether she's found what she wants or not. Does that pretty much sum it up?
Well, I got you. And it seems to me it's a certain amount of compromises in order.
Right.
And I think reasonable people ought to be able to handle this. Your sister's position that to leave the house empty is foolish is not one that should be taken lightly. I think it's legitimate. On the other side of that, your brother not being able to commit to a double mortgage is equally legitimate. And hers, that she wants an apartment.
Home instead of...
I'm not going to throw away my life. I'm not going to, because your accountant thinks you're going to get killed with... How much do you earn, by the way?
He earns 60, I earn 30.
All right. The amount that you're going to save on a house for the 1 quarter or even a half a year is not enough to get emotional over. All right?
Right.
You guys are certainly earning enough money to allow you to go to school.
I think so.
And if he's that much of a fool, and
well, he wants me to go. By all means, he's pushed me to go back to school. He's been begging me to go back to school.
Okay.
And now all of a sudden, I want to go back, and he says we have to get priorities straight. I told him that we should learn about the taxes. We should learn about buying a home before we rush into everything.
Smart kid. Let's do some quick arithmetic, shall we?
Okay.
Suppose you bought a house. What price range would we look at?
Well, right now we're looking at about a $70,000.
All right. Let's assume 70 for the sake of this discussion. I'm doing this in my head, so I could be a little bit of feel, but I'll be at least in some place in the range. All right.
Okay.
Let's make it. All right, 70,000. Let's assume you finance the whole works. We're gonna give this as our best shot. Fair enough.
Okay.
Let's assume it's 10% mortgage. Interest, all right?
Okay.
Let's assume that you'd pay then for a whole year $7,000 in interest.
Okay.
That'd be $3,500 over a half a year period. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, I'm assuming.
All right. And so we're going to save roughly a third of that. We won't even save that much, but we'll call it a third. So we're going to have about $1,100 or $1,200 tax saving by racing into this deal for this year. Now, but wait a while.
I think we should.
Well, wait a while. But let's go beyond that. How much are you paying in rent right now?
$500 a month.
All right, but you're going to more than eat that up in the additional mortgage payments that you're going to make. So you'll have a whole lot less money at the end of this transaction, not to mention the legal fees, not to mention the points, which we haven't considered.
Mm-hmm.
No,
well, see, we don't know much about that, and I think that we should live and learn until we're ready. I think that we should maybe even take some courses that are offered about real estate.
Well, you can do. I don't think you have to beat it to death, frankly. This is not brain surgery. Well, but your priorities ought to be, Kelly, go back to school, finish up. You want to teach or whatever, go for it. If he wants to buy a house, okay, but it's not the expense of you going back to school.
Okay, so you don't think it'll hurt us? Taxes will hurt us that much if we don't buy a house this year.
I'm saying you're going to save maybe $1,200, but you're going to spend more. You'll have more in your pocket if you don't buy the house than if you do at the end of the year. Net in your pocket.
Okay. By the way, I talked to there's a few coworkers at work that we always discuss your shows.
Do you really?
And they're going to flip that I actually got to talk to you.
Well, you give them my best, and you tell them that I think you're a very smart lady.
Thanks, Bruce.
I wish you well, Kelly.
Bye-bye.
I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
How you doing? Listen, I have just a little problem. About 6 weeks ago, we had a number from Massachusetts on our answering machine.
How nice.
So my husband called, and a finance company told us that we had a balance on an account from 1975.
You're kidding me.
No. And I have, of course, no recollection, no paperwork, no nothing.
What do they say? How much money's involved?
They say that I owed $142.
Yeah.
And now interest with my balance is $227.
Yeah.
And going up.
Yeah. Let's start at the very beginning. Did you ever do business with the company that they...
Yes, I did.
All right.
Yes, I did.
What kind of a company is it?
It's a finance company. And, you know, if I owe it, fine, I'm willing to pay it. But if I have no paperwork.
Well, I would say to them, the likelihood is I'm not going to pay you.
Right.
And the reason I'm not going to pay is because you waited 15 years. You've denied me of any possible... The federal government doesn't require you to keep records for 15 years.
Right.
Except on real estate transactions.
Yeah.
So there's no reason in the world. I wouldn't pay him. I'd just say, look, you're fishing. Go fish somewhere else. If you want to go to court, let's go to court.
Well, that's what I got. One letter since then saying now we're going to take legal action.
Fine, take the legal action. We'll let the judge decide.
That's what I said to my husband.
I would just say you provided me with no documentation. Yeah. You've deprived me of a reasonable defense because 15 years has transpired. Who remembers? My checks are gone. Right. The bank records have been destroyed. Lots of luck. I wouldn't pay him a nickel.
Okay.
Take good care.
Thank you very much. Bye.
You're very welcome. And see what happens here, by the way. I'm not saying this is true in this case. There are companies who go out there and they just buy up old records of charges. And they just fabricate charges. And people are frightened and they pay. I'm not saying that was the case here, but it would not be a brand new turf. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Rick Logan's stomping ground. Hello there.
My name is Fred.
Yes, Fred.
Baton Rouge.
You betcha.
I have a question on a tax liability.
Let's talk.
I owe back taxes of approximately $5,000.
This is federal taxes we're talking about?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Of which I did owe $13,000. I've got it down to $5,000.
Oh, you're really pecking away at it, Fred.
Yes, sir. I've got a monthly note of $134.
What interest rate are they charging you?
I want to say 12%. I'm really not sure.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is get some credit. And they have a tax lien on my credit report, of which I also have a bankruptcy on my credit report of about 3 years ago. Would it be beneficial for me to pay off the $5,000 to improve my
I don't think
credit?
so. I don't think it's going to help you very much, Fred. First of all, if it's 12%, I don't see we're going to borrow the money for any less.
Right.
Probably have to pay more.
Okay.
And it's not going to help you. Your credit's going to be shot for a good period of time. You're doing fine. I continue the way you're doing. I hope you're putting a little money aside as well. But I just continue on the way you're going.
I was able to finance a home 1 year after my bankruptcy.
Well, you're doing well.
Yeah.
I would not pay it off, no. Now wait a minute. Now, you see, the fulcrum here is the interest rate. If you suddenly find they're charging you 18%, different ball game, huh?
Yes.
But at 12%, I don't think you'll do any better.
Okay.
I wish you well.
Thank you.
Moraga.
Hi.
Moraga, California. Hello there.
Hi. Yes, it's Moraga. My name's Karen, and I'll tell you what my problem is, Bruce. I have a condominium that I've owned for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I really wasn't in a position to refinance until the last couple, because I have a good job now.
Well, why would you want to refinance, Karen?
Well, because my interest rate's 14%. 14.2.
That's a very good reason to refinance.
Yes, right. I have the property rented, and it would make it finally be in a positive cash flow. Well, my problem is I went to the lender, filled out all my paperwork several months back, checked with them weekly, no problems. And they said, we need another $100 to check on what the rentals are doing in the area. We need another $50 for this, to where I've paid them probably about $500 in fees. Up until about a month ago, I kept going back, what's the problem? The lady taking care of the loan quit. And next thing I'm dealing now with the manager, and then I get a letter in the mail saying that they are not going to okay the loan. This is 3 months after the fact and $500 later because the property is in litigation. The condominium association is suing the original builder because of building problems. So my question is do I have any recourse? I know you're not an attorney, but can I go to against the builder for causing my, because I can't refinance?
I doubt it. Unless you could prove, real negligence on his part.
See, what bothers me is that, I've had, like I said, the property for 10 years. It's doubled in value.
Mm-hmm.
And and the bank strung me along.
I think I would be down screaming at the bank. I mean, why is that? Why is the fact that there's litigation?
Right.
You have the income.
Right.
The property has the value, I assume.
It's doubled in value.
Well, but that doesn't tell us anything. How much is it worth right now?
125.
How much are you asking for?
The paper on it's 62.
That's it?
That's it.
I'd be down kicking and screaming. I don't understand why they're holding this up.
Well, that's exactly what I said, and the letter just said point blank.
Well, letters can say a lot of things.
Right.
I go down and see an officer of the bank.
Right.
And talk to them eyeball to eyeball, because it just doesn't appear to me that that's any reason. So there's litigation, so what?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I had said to the one lady, when she told me this over the phone, and I...
Yeah, but see, Karen. Look. They have kind of a pro forma, little punch sheet.
Right.
And if anything falls out of the line on that punch sheet, it just kicks out and, don't approve this one, all right?
Right.
Now, wait a minute, hold on. Now, you're dealing with people at the level you seem to be dealing with people who have nothing to gain by helping you and everything to lose. If things go a cropper, they'll get chewed out. If they go well, nobody's ever going to pat them on the back. Their best interest personally are served by saying, Karen, here's the rules, spit out a computer letter, and that's the end of it, all right? When you call back, you're talking to the same kind of person.
Right.
I think, Karen, you have to talk to somebody of some substance. That guy with his VP after his name, and Guy is handled us here.
Funny as I just saw in the paper a couple of weeks ago, this bank was advertising for new clients and stuff, and said, come down, talk to our VPs. They gave the names of the guys and their phone numbers.
Well, why don't you trot on down? I know the phone is not the way to do business.
No, just go down.
You go on down and ask for one of these guys.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for your time.
It's the way to do it, Karen.
Yeah.
I think because you've been misused. I don't disagree.
Well, I felt like I've been abused.
No, I think
I've had the loan.
I don't disagree. For Karen, we have nothing to fight about. But your fight is with an officer, not with some clerk. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
Real people with real helpful advice. 1-800-TalkNet.
Reno, Nevada, it's your turn. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
I've listened to you since before you had your plane crash.
Hi, that makes you one of our originals. That's appreciated.
And it's my first call. It's about a property that was awarded to my daughter in her divorce settlement. Her husband, it was their property, their home.
Mm-hmm.
He took the business, and she was to get the house.
All right.
As soon as he paid off the about $2,000 that was owing on it.
Well, he was supposed to deliver the house free and clear.
That's right. At which he paid off. The bank gave him the deed. He says that he gave the deed to his attorney.
Mm-hmm.
He signed. He said he claims that he had filled it all out and everything for the transfer to her.
What does his attorney say?
The attorney says he doesn't know anything about it, according to my daughter's attorney. My daughter's attorney. This is in another state.
Chances are that the former husband's lying. There would be no reason for the attorney to lie. Hey, this is another business transaction for him.
Except that this attorney that he has is known to have so many irons in the fire. He starts something and never finishes it.
Well, then you're saying
he's well known for that.
Well, what you're telling me is, the guy. First of all, this was an agreed upon condition of the divorce. Is that not correct?
It's in the divorce papers.
All right, fine. Then your attorney goes back to the divorce court and says, "Look, we want an order to make this happen."
Well, the trouble we're having is her lawyer said that he had her divorce recorded.
Yeah.
And that because of it being recorded, the property now, as far as tax purposes, is in her name. She's been paying the taxes on it for the last 2-3 years now.
And he still hasn't got a deed?
No. Nope.
It's that long ago?
And the lawyer said that we don't need it, that as long as it was recorded in the divorce papers, and we don't believe him.
He may be right, but if it were me, I'd go back to the court and order this guy to deliver a deed. That means the former husband. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Las Cruces, New Mexico. Hello there.
After 24 years in a profession, closely related to yours, by the way, I've returned to school full-time, pursuing a DVM degree, veterinary
medicine. My goodness. And what were you doing before in the broadcast?
180. Well, I was in a profession very similar to yours, broadcasting.
What? Were you really? What, television?
Radio.
What were you doing?
In management for the last 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Academically, at this particular point, Bruce, I'm a 4-point student, so I don't anticipate any problems in that department as far as admission to grad school. However...
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
How did you happen to choose veterinary medicine? It's an overpopulated field.
A long story, a lot of heart and soul searching, and just a point in my life where I was able to make a major shift, and I chose to do so.
Okay, the reason I asked, it's just a dramatically overpopulated career field right now.
At this particular time, yes, you can say that it's full.
It's overflowing. I've talked. I've just talked to enough vets that say they feel badly for all these kids that graduate and can't get jobs.
There's always room for one more good person in any good field.
I think that's a positive attitude.
Anyway, at this point, I don't think you're going to change my mind, Bruce.
No, I'm just curious about it, that's all.
Well, I appreciate that. First of all, I want to let you know I'm not a dollar-driven individual, so that is not my motivation in making this pursuit. It's purely something very personal.
So you want to do, go for it. How old are you?
43.
Go for it.
At any rate, I'm concerned about how I'm going to finance 4 years of graduate medical school in veterinary medicine.
Do you have any dough?
Sir?
Do you have any money?
I've got some cash on hand, enough to get me through the remainder of my pre-vet curriculum.
Are you married?
No, sir.
Well, you can marry.
No marriage, no family, no responsibilities of that sort.
You could marry a rich woman. That would do it.
Oh, yeah, that would help for sure. However, that might slow me down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, Bruce, my credit rating burned to the ground in the last year or so, and I would be very concerned about very interested in any ideas you might have as far as resources for grants, financial aid, anything that might be able to help me.
Well, there's a whole bunch of variables here. First of all, you said you have some cash, but relatively little. You said your credit burned to the ground. What does that mean?
I've got a Chapter 11.
Yeah.
It was all just related to previous business experiences.
Well, 11, then you paid it off then.
Oh, I'm sorry, a Chapter 7.
No, Chapter 7 is a
Chapter
different
7,
matter.
that's all the way. That's all the way.
Yeah, that's the all the way.
I yelled for help and said no more.
Okay. How much did you discharge with a 7?
About $17,000.
That's hardly worth going bankrupt for.
Well, in my particular case, I won't argue the point. It's over and done with.
Okay. Yeah, but there are people listening that just might be influenced, you see. It's a lot of money, admittedly, but the damages that a bankruptcy bring with them as baggage, in my opinion, outweigh $17,000.
Well, I understand, and I've listened to you for so many years that I suppose I should have consulted with you prior to consulting with an attorney. However, under the circumstances, I felt it was the best thing to do.
Okay, well, it's done anyway. But you see, I have a responsibility not only to you, but to those people who may be listening to our conversation.
I understand.
I got a feeling, my friend, that you are going to have to start looking for the help on the end of your arm. And that means you may have to work your way through school.
Mm-hmm.
And that means work 30 hours a week or more and still go to school. And that ain't easy, but it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're eligible for any kind of a graduate school grant, either some kind of a form of a GSL, I just don't know. You're certainly going to talk to the financial aid office in your chosen school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But grants, I don't see where you mentioned you have a 4.0 average, which is terrific, but you're going to have to demonstrate that for a while before you may be eligible for some kind of scholastic help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can appreciate that. I am pursuing federal assistance. At this particular point, was just curious as to whether or not there were any publications, any other resources that I'd be able to tap to look into for...
Hold it. There are tons of publications written on the subject. There are computer-generated things that you can buy for $45, $50 that will give you a half a dozen scholarships that you may not get, but that you qualify for. There's a whole lot of material. But the sad fact is, I'm afraid, that you are a very untraditional student, non-traditional, which is okay. But the downside of that is that the credit history is going to preclude at least some forms of borrowing.
I understand that.
I think what you ought to be planning on, and I don't think there's a reason in the world why you can't do it, is finding yourself about a third. What's the tuition going to run you?
Out-of-state tuition.
How much?
I have several different schools that I can apply for. There is, in this particular part of the country, a cooperative higher education.
How much? I don't want all the background. How much?
$40,000 to $50,000 if I get in-state status.
How much?
$40,000 to $50,000.
That's over 4 years.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking how much a year? $12,000 a year.
Okay.
So you're going to have to earn something. How much is it going to cost you to survive?
Well, I can do it pretty frugally. I don't know at this particular point.
You're going to have a budget, you see. I mean, how can you talk about how much money do you have to acquire unless you know what it's going to cost? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
See, that's the number you have to come up with.
I can appreciate that fact.
See, once you come up with a budget, then you can talk. But I think you have an uphill struggle. I really do, and I don't know what to tell you in that regard. I don't see you borrowing very much, and I can't see you doing less than $20,000. That means you got to make $400 a week on a part-time basis, or on a full-time basis, and get very little sleep. But let me tell you, you got a dream. Follow it. You never do it a day younger. Good luck. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Pasco, Washington, it's your turn. Hello there.
Hello, Mr. Williams.
You betcha. How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, I want you to know I value your opinion, and I really enjoy listening to you. I learn a heck of a lot.
Well, I appreciate that. What's up?
Hey, I got a little problem. I've got a video camcorder that, I'll give you a little background. It looks, in my opinion, the picture in the thing is grainy. Now, this is the top-of-the-line model.
Uh-huh.
And so I took it into a local repair shop, and I said, hey, this thing just doesn't look right. The guy checked it out, and he says, oh, you're right. He says, that's not good at all. We can fix that. And I said, okay, and I left it with him. And I got it back about a week later, and the picture was just pathetic. Totally worse.
Worse than it was when you brought it in.
Yeah, this thing is terrible. And so I took it back to them. They charged me $130, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyhow, I brought it back to them. I said, hey, fix this thing. This is worse. It was like the whole picture was blacked out.
We started out slow. It's gone downhill ever since then, huh?
It is, yeah.
So what did he say?
He said, okay, no problem. I'm talking to the guy's wife. The technician.
I got it in 1978, and I can't remember exactly when he was caught or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't know if anybody cared about this or if there's.
Well, I doubt very seriously if it was done by David Berkowitz.
Because he signed his name.
Exactly.
Unless
so.
this is something like he wrote in prison or something like that. That's the only thing I can.
I'm just trying to think of. Bill, do you remember the time frame when Berkowitz was running loose? I mean, I'm just looking like 10, 12, 15 years ago? How long ago was that? 77, Bill says.
Yeah, it was about 78 when I got this.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very unlikely that it was written by the miscreant himself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, listen to it. And whether there's a value in his autograph is something I don't know. I would.
It's just one of those bizarre poems that he wrote.
Well, how do you know he wrote it?
Well, suppose I was able to look at books, and I remember him writing weird poems.
Yeah, but that's the point, though. That I mean,
oh yeah.
If he was writing this kind of stuff, there are a lot of sickos out there that would think it would be fun to imitate him. I guess would be the best way of putting it.
I agree. Well, all right.
I mean, I have no idea how you'd even verify whether this is original material or not.
They've only showed, every once in a while they show a special on TV and they'd show his writing, and I've always looked at this. I thought, yeah, yes, this is it. I know it is, but I don't know that. So I just didn't know if
Well,
there's anything I should do with
there
this.
may
It's
be
starting to fade.
There may be collectors out there that, and if you were to call an autograph house, I'm sure they could give you the information you're looking for, whether or not there's a market.
Is there such a thing, an autograph house?
You've got to be kidding me. Of course there are.
Oh, I don't know.
That's all they sell is autographs. Certainly, they're all over the place.
Wow.
Any major city.
All right.
Go to the Yellow Pages. Let your fingers do the trotting.
Yeah, I'll try that here in Orlando.
Okay. Good luck, sweetheart.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more, because you got Talknet.
AM 1370 WSPD is Toledo's news station.
McLean, Virginia. Hello there.
How you doing, Bruce?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to say that I like your show very much. The question that I have is, I have an advertisement idea for a specific car company.
You have you mean an innovative way to advertise their cars?
Yes, I guess you could say that.
Like a slogan, or?
It's something, yes, okay, and it also could be used like a logo type.
Mm-hmm.
And, but specifically for, let's say, a magazine or newspaper.
Sure.
Picture. My question is, who can I contact?
Unfortunately, the likelihood of them speaking to you is about the same as a snowball on a hot roof.
Okay.
Most companies pride themselves for not talking to the public. Now, for a couple of good reasons and some pretty stupid reasons. The good reason that they're always afraid that someone will accuse them of stealing an idea that they've already had.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you got a great idea, but maybe 10 guys have thought about it beforehand. You say,
true,
on their pad. Most times, even if before they even say hello to you, they want you to sign a general release saying, you give up everything, including your firstborn child and all that sort of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the insidious, if it didn't begin here, it's no good syndrome.
Okay.
And that's, it didn't, if our people didn't think of it, well, it can't be any good because our people are the best and they'd have thought about it already.
Mm-hmm.
Most companies are reluctant to take ideas from outside.
Should I try anyway to just...
What do you have nothing to lose? I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions, but they are extraordinarily rare.
Okay. And anyone, a specific branch of the company that I could contact?
You can write to the advertising the division, but it's going to go to their agency, and agencies are very protective of their sinecure.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very difficult nut to crack if it can be cracked at all. Then, of course, you can call and determine what agency represents them. It's a big company. You can call Ad Age. They could tell you.
Ad Age?
Ad Age.
Age?
Mm-hmm. It's a magazine.
Okay, fine.
But it's not the kind of thing that happens very often for the reasons I described.
Okay, I guess I got nothing to lose in trying.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
I wish you well, my friend. Niles, Ohio. Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Nice talking with you, Bruce.
Thank you, ma'am.
I've got all kinds of things. I'm really confused at this point. I have a job with a company, a very nice company. I've only been with them a year, and I've been given a promotion, which is out of state.
All right.
And my husband also has a nice job, which is a salary position here in the area.
And he's not been given a job out of state.
No, and we're kind of torn as whether it's going to be worth it to take it, and I'm not quite sure what to look at.
Well, let's talk about a bunch of things. First of all, you raise what is, I think, a kind of an interesting phenomenon.
Which is?
Well, for the last however many million years, a husband got a transfer, a wife and kids got dragged along, right?
Right.
Well, suddenly we are in a different environment now where the wife has the same options, opportunities and whatever.
Right.
And it used to be the wife had to quit her job. Well, too bad, honey, quit,
Right.
Give them 2 weeks and get the windows done, that kind of thing.
I know.
Well, things have changed, and maybe for the better in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's begin at the beginning, I guess. What do you do?
I am a sales supervisor.
All right. And what do you earn?
I approximately 35. It should go to 45 this year if I take the promotion.
Now, what does Papa Bear do?
He is a salary employee for a major company.
Doing what?
Computers.
Doing
He's a computer technician.
what does he earn?
About 32.
Where in the country are you being transferred to if you'd accept this transfer?
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Grand Rapids. I was just there
That's beautiful. I was there.
Thursday.
Were you? I
In
just
the
came
snow.
home last Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
I was there for a month, and I tried it.
A month?
Yes.
You got a pretty good dose, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I loved it. It was beautiful.
It's a pretty town, Grand
Yes,
Rapids. It is indeed. It's a town that has had its lesser moments, I think, like a lot of cities.
Oh, yeah.
But it has really come back.
Mm-hmm.
the weather's a little more severe than I would be greatly enthusiastic about.
Right, that's one thing that was the drawback.
We visited Wood Radio, and I was interviewed on television in a snowstorm. I can't tell you how happy I was staying there with the snowflakes coming
right.
down. But it is a very pleasant, clean community, I think.
Yeah.
Now, let's get past you for a moment. How old are you guys, by the way?
How
old is your husband?
39. My husband's 42.
Well, you see, he's getting to an age where employment is going to be a little more difficult.
Right.
I mean, this age discrimination is a very real thing. I mean,
I'm sure of that.
Liking it, we're not editorializing it, but it's a fact of life.
Right.
What
about him transferring, though? I tried to talk him into it.
Is his company operating in Grand Rapids?
Major. Well, close enough.
All right, then could he get a transfer?
He could.
Well, grab it. What are we talking about here?
That's what I thought. And we're looking at, if he takes the transfer, we're looking at $75,000 income. If not, I've got to start all over again.
Why is that?
I'm looking for something else.
Oh, your company's leaving?
No. They want me to go up and to be a district supervisor over 1/4 of the state.
And if you don't take it?
If I don't take it, then I do little tiny books around this area. It's a lot lesser income.
I would take it and go.
Okay.
I mean, goodness gracious. It became academic when you said he'd get a transfer.
He could, yes.
Oh, I think it's academic. That's an adventure. How long have you lived in Niles?
Too long. Probably 19 years.
Oh, for pity's sake.
I know.
Get out of the ditch.
That's what I thought.
I mean, maybe the greatest place in the world, but 19 years is long enough.
Okay, what if he doesn't want this transfer, though?
Stick around. Let's talk about that. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. I'm chatting with Lydia in Niles, Ohio. And we were just about concluding our conversation. I said, gee, if I were you, you've got a great promotion coming up. Your husband got a transfer. Take it, run. And 5 seconds ago, she said, what happens if my husband says no?
Right. He's not positive that he could get the transfer right away. Okay, and he doesn't know if he even wants to continue working. He's kind of dragging his feet more than me.
What do you mean want to continue working? What does that mean?
Well, he has no problem if he could retire completely.
Oh, nifty boo. How old is he? 40 what?
42.
Oh, lazy lout. What? Do you have children?
Yes.
How many?
2. One is 12, one's 19.
And one's 42.
Right.
He wants to... Holy Toledo.
Right, so all of a sudden that becomes the reason. We'll transfer if I don't have to work.
Well, let me ask you this. Suppose he said no. Would you go anyway?
I don't know.
Because a lot of husbands would have.
I know. I don't know if I would.
Well, that's a question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That's a very serious question.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's unreasonable to think that he's going to start supporting you unless you want a house husband, which maybe you do. I don't know.
No, I don't know. I think I'd rather have the money. We can all work.
Girl, that's my own heart here. It just seems to me that that's a pretty unreasonable posture, unless you guys have stashed away a couple million that you haven't told me about.
No, haven't done that.
Well, in that case, it's ridiculous to think he should just stop working. You support him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, a lot of guys sitting there, well, what the heck? Men have supported women all these years. Why shouldn't they? That's baloney.
I know. Why not everybody?
As I think that's baloney.
Yep.
But the hard, you see, you're really facing the question of, you see, if you remember at the top of our conversation, I alluded to the fact that things had changed.
Right.
That this was an option that women followed, men led, and all that sort of thing. Well, things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
But with the change came some other choices. I hesitate to say responsibilities, but certainly privileges.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, hey, pal, I'm moving, your choice. Come with me, or...
Right.
That's not a choice that you might have had a generation or two ago.
That's true.
But you clearly have it now.
Mm-hmm.
And with that goes responsibility, and a little bit of, it's kind of a heavy responsibility, isn't it?
Right.
But you may as well face it, that you may have to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Make the right one.
Oh, yeah. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
Well, that's what business is all about, you see. If you want to play with the big boys.
Oh, yeah. Got to do it.
That's exactly right.
Oh, yeah.
I do wish you well, sweetheart.
Thank you very much.
Let me tell you, Niles, Ohio, where is that?
Right in between Warren and Youngstown.
Well, for pity's sake, Youngstown is not all that far from Grand Rapids. Now I think about it. I was
7
there
hours.
Pardon?
7 hours.
Well, a little closer by air.
Yeah, oh, of course.
Because I was in Youngstown last Monday, and I was in Grand Rapids last Thursday.
Oh, boy.
With Cleveland and Detroit in the middle.
All right. You've
So-
been bouncing all over.
Well, the point is that this is not exactly the end of the world. I mean, if necessary, seriously, you could commute on weekends.
Right.
He could stay where he is, and you can go where you went.
That's true.
And it wouldn't be a big deal to one of you travel one weekend and one travel the next.
Mm-hmm. That would work, too, if he travel his weekend.
Well, if he didn't, you don't travel your next weekend.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, I'm sure you keep amused.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty to do up there.
Enough said.
Yes, there is. Okay. Thank you very much.
Wish you well, honey.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, the world has changed where it used to be strictly a male decision. Cuts both ways, doesn't it, guys? As well it should. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Syracuse, hello there.
Hello.
Yeah, Syracuse, let's do it. Hold on now. Let's just say your grandson made a purchase of an automobile, okay?
October 23rd, 87. I was co-signer.
Yep.
Okay. And it was voluntarily repossessed February 29th, 88.
Mm-hmm.
Now about 6 months ago, I got a notice that we owed $4,200 some odd dollars plus $600 for attorney fee.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a civil summons. Now that was about 6 months ago, and we got each got a civil summons about 10 days ago, and saying we owed this amount here. And I just wondered what some advice you might have.
You got to pay it.
Do what?
You have to pay it.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, why did you let the thing go back to the company?
Do what?
Why did you allow the car to be repossessed?
Well, we couldn't pay for it.
Well, why didn't you try to sell it?
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 72, on Social Security.
Your grandson did you in, huh? How old is he?
He's 21.
What in the world was he buying a new car for?
Well, he had to have one, and
why did he have to have one?
Decided that to get to working back.
He had to have a new car.
Well, he had to have some transportation.
Yeah, but he most certainly didn't know it. How much did this car cost?
It was about $11,000.
Yeah, and he's 20. Was about 19, 20 years old then.
No, he bought it October 23rd, 87.
All right, so he was 19.
Yeah, he was 19 then.
Yeah. What a tragedy. Got bad news for you.
Uh-huh.
Got to pay. Does he have any money now?
No.
Do you have any money?
No.
Well, you can't get blood out of a stone, I guess.
Yeah.
I would answer the thing. Go to court.
Yeah.
Appear in court and tell your story, but they're going to make you pay.
Uh-huh.
Or you or your grandson or both. And that's a tragedy.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, it was just handled poorly. There's not much we can do about it now.
Yeah.
Good luck, Tiger.
All right, then.
Boy, I mean, what kind of I don't know how many ways to put it. What kind of a character? It just occurs to me that the kind of people, kids, you should know better to ask your aged, impoverished grandparent to sign a note so you can get a new car. What? It boggles my mind. Boggles my mind. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet.
This is Bob Seabold. Every hour, WSPD provides the very latest news reported by Toledo Radio's largest news staff on AM 1370 WSPD.
Tomorrow, sometime about 2 in the afternoon, between 2 and 6, we'll be taking your calls off the air, laying them down on tape. Yeah, we're broadcasting that one tomorrow evening. Yeah, we're flipping it right in so you can talk to me tomorrow and hear yourself on the radio tomorrow night. The number then and now is 800-TALKNET. And oh, by the by, we were having a little party. I hope if you're in the metropolitan area, you'll drop by and see us. It's at the Sheraton Hotel in the Meadowlands, just off of the New Jersey Turnpike. A quick cab ride from Manhattan or an easy ride from New Brunswick or Princeton, that area. The other Talknet hosts will be there. A majority will be there, I believe. And we'll be there with the folks behind the scenes and get acquainted personally and hopefully maybe learn a little bit from each other. We'll be doing that little thing we call an Evening with Bruce Williams. That'll be a very intimate proposition. The Golden Circle folks will have some coffee and cake and the rest of that stuff. And the tickets are $25 a pop for Golden Circle or $10 general admission. You can call Ticketron and come and see us next Tuesday evening, right after Turkey Day. Seattle, Washington. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello, Mr. Williams.
Hi.
Here's my problem. I had my vehicle towed to a automotive rebuild shop, and I had a stereo stolen out of it. And
where was the your car when this happened?
Okay.
I mean, was it inside, outside, on the street, in a lot, on the roof?
It was inside before they moved my truck into the shop, and it was in the truck while I was in the shop.
Yeah.
Then they removed the motor and pushed the truck back outside in front of the shop, and then over the weekend, that following Monday, that's when I saw that it had then been stolen.
Mm-hmm. What do they say?
They say he's not responsible because the fact that he had it outside.
No, but who put it outside?
Well, the owner did.
And he's responsible. The property was in his care, custody, and control.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear you. I mean, clearly, it's his responsibility.
Yeah, he offered to do a additional $500 worth of work.
For what?
For the stereo, the cost of the stereo.
Well, what do you need additional?
No, I didn't.
What kind of work was he going to do?
He rebuilt the motor.
Yeah, but I mean, what additional work was he willing to? Let's go back to square one a little bit. How much are you paying for the rebuild on a motor?
How much did I pay him?
Are you going? This has already been done already?
Yeah, this is done.
How much?
I paid him about $2,800.
Well, would he knock $500 off the $28 originally?
No.
He wanted to do some more work for you.
Yeah, I didn't need any more work done.
For pity's sake. Well, I would go to small claims court if he won't pay you.
Okay.
Because I don't think there's any question. May I assume that somebody called the police, let them know what was going on here?
Yeah, I've got a larceny report.
I would go to small claims court. Seems to me he's clearly responsible. It was in his care, custody, and control.
Okay.
Good luck, son.
Okay, thank you.
Buffalo, New York, your turn. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi. Ooh, what was that?
Hello?
Yeah, we got all kinds of... Go ahead. Buffalo? Now what? Buffalo, are you there? Buffalo, are you over there? You know, I got to tell you, my friends, this has been quite a day. First of all, the air conditioning, which doesn't function in the summertime, now has the studio chilled down to a place where I have to fight off the guys who are in the meat packing business in this area because they want to use our studio to hang meat. They're currently putting up these big hooks and sides of beef and lamb and whatever. Very disconcerting. But we're getting past that. Then, of course, our computer. You see, the resident geniuses that used to be here, we had a very nice system here. It was, I would admit, a tad crude, primitive, but it worked. We had little wooden blocks. Bill, or his counterpart, would just put little cards on top of the block. Line 1, Seattle, Washington. Now, that didn't take a brain surgeon, a road scholar to work the system out. But we couldn't have that. That cost $75, you see. Someone had to go out and buy colored televisions, computers that give multiple copy printouts, analyze your handwriting, and a few other fancy things, none of which work from time to time. And, of course, we're separated now by 2 panes of glass so that King Kong can dance in the next room and we can't hear a word that he says. So unless I can read hand signals, and Bill is back now to writing, but no longer on cards, he now writes on computer paper, which I suppose is high-tech. Where is Athens, Ohio, besides in the Midwest? Thank you very much. And this is not Bill's fault, let me tell you. No. The technicians who designed this system have long since gone to their reward, which is probably merciful. Athens, your turn. Athens, Ohio? Well, Bill, now what do you suggest we do? You know, when I used to work at a little radio station, I figure, well, you know, we were kind of pressed a little bit on budget. Things might be a little bit hard, but when you got up to the major leagues like New York City, things would be different. Well, I got to New York City some years later. Yeah, things were different. They got worse. They sure had cheer up. Things get worse, and I cheered up, and they did. And now here we are in the big time. Yeah, network stuff. We're talking to the half of all of North America. And I push the button, still nothing happens. He's there. Let's try again. Athens. Yeah, what were you listening? You out to lunch?
Oh, no, I wasn't out to lunch. It's more like dinner time here, but nonetheless, Bruce.
Yes.
How you doing?
Not too well, to tell you the truth.
Oh, what's wrong?
This is high-tech world here, you see.
High-tech world.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to two cans and a long string. What's on your mind?
Well, those 2 cans and a long string, now that you bring it up, are on my mind, Bruce.
Talk to me.
Yeah, let me tell you what. Out here, we have this system, and when it ties in with another system, let me tell you, it just... But that's not the reason I called. The reason I called is I recently graduated.
From?
College.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Big problem, though. College loans.
Well, you got to pay them.
Oh, well.
And I have no problem with that.
No.
How old are you?
Pardon?
How old are you?
23.
Well, you see, if I were emperor of this crazy world, I would hold you, your degree, your first and second born child, and any spouses you may collect in hostage until you paid those loans.
Well?
Period. No exception. And that means before the car, before the rent, before anything.
Well, where would they keep all these hostages?
Well, that's their problem. But the problem is, you see, it's my contention that everybody, without regard to station in life, if they're intellectually capable, should be eligible for all the college money they need. But then, without question, it gets paid back first, before you get a car, before you get the second suit of clothes, before you ever have a date.
I can agree with you there. Yeah, but yeah, the thing I was wondering is, should I pay it off in a lump sum, or should I not?
Well, do you have the ability to pay it off in a lump sum? Do you have the money?
Not right now, but eventually, maybe. I was thinking, would it be wise to pay it off or to pay the interest?
Well,
I mean, if I could pay it off in a lump sum and knock off the interest, or would I be better off to save the money and do something else with it? And what would you do?
The problem is, if you don't have the money, the question becomes academic, right? If you have
academics, that's what we studied.
Oh, boy. Are you sure you didn't take comedy?
I did take a comedy class, actually.
Flunked, huh? What I'm getting to is that if you don't have the wherewithal to do what we're talking about, it becomes academic. If you do have the wherewithal, then we have to determine what your tax bracket is, what you would be doing with the monies if you did not pay off the loan, how much those monies would be earning you.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Well,
I was kind of wondering.
Take a deep breath. The likelihood is that you could earn a higher rate of interest than you're paying on the student loans. Given that set of conditions, that it would probably pay you to pay the loans off under keep them current under the terms of the loan. But in the event that you are not able to use the money where it will earn more than you're paying, then clearly the idea would be to your advantage to pay it off. The troublesome part of the first equation is you're allowed to be tempted to spend the money on something else and then get yourself into trouble. I wish you well, kid. You want to take that comedy course. Fresno, your turn. Right now, I'm going to come in early tomorrow. Bill, as a matter of fact, Bill, why don't we start a little before 2, because I know you've got a plane to catch. What do you say? 1:45? 1:45. Anyway, we're taking your calls off the air for broadcast at a future date. No, the same day, tomorrow night. So Bill can be on his plane going to we can't tell you where, and I will be at the theater that evening. So you can hear yourself tomorrow night by dialing 800-TalkNet tomorrow afternoon. Yesterday, we had a call from a gentleman in Toledo, Ohio. Talk about getting ripped off. He was putting tile in his home. Memory serves me, and he can correct me. I think he had 400 square feet of tile. The guy who the franchise said, not to worry, we got 380 square feet. We'll pick the other 20 up. So he lays the 380, and suddenly they decide, we can't give you the other 20 square feet. Well, what the heck? I mean, change colors. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi, how we doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Did you track all this down?
Yep.
Well, tell me about it.
Okay, first thing this morning, I got a call from the division manager.
He called you?
He called me.
Before you called him?
Well, I called him, but all I got was a recorded message.
Oh, yeah, you told me that. Well, how come he called this morning?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if maybe somebody listened to you or what.
Well, let's hope so.
Okay.
Where is he located? What part of the country is he located in?
Cleveland.
Well, we have WHK in Cleveland.
He's listening tonight. I told him.
Is that right? Because I was in Cleveland a week ago this very evening.
Okay. He said he might even give you a call, as a matter of fact.
Well, son of a gun.
So we talked for, it must have been about 15, 20 minutes today.
Mm-hmm.
And he was about the most accommodating, gracious man I've ever talked to.
Well, super.
He come up, he says they have 700 stores, no computer.
With 700 stores, there's got to be 20 square feet of something out there someplace.
Well, that's what he says. He says if need be, they will even talk to the factory and have it brought in from there if they cannot find it here.
Super.
So,
what is his name?
His name?
Yeah.
Is Mr. Avery Shaw.
Mr. Shaw, I hope you're listening. You've had hopefully a satisfied customer, but in any event, you obviously comported yourself very well, and you impressed this fella, because up until now, nobody's impressed them very well, except with their inactivity. No computer, though, huh?
No computer with 700 stores.
Then, Mr. Shaw, maybe tomorrow you'll be bombarded by would-be computer and software salesmen, because I got a feeling you could use one.
You've got a job cut out for him.
Well, I guess he has. But I'm delighted that he called you. You might find out if he heard our conversation last night. Because as I said, I was in Cleveland last week. We talked to about 3,000 people in a gorgeous theater. It was Theater in the Round. One of those, you ever see a theater in the round?
No, what's that?
Well, it's a stage. It's circular, so you have people in every direction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's terrific if you're an actor. Not so smart if you're a talk show host trying to do a show. We had a good time. It was a lot of fun. And everybody in Cleveland was very, very gracious. We had a great evening. We had really a good evening and a fine Caesar salad afterwards.
Well, I want to call and thank you for you helping me.
It's a pleasure. Let's hope your floor gets down before the holidays.
I hope so.
And Mr. Shaw, you are a gentleman, and we thank you very much. To Warren, Michigan. Hello there.
Long-time listener. Enjoy your program. I bought a living room set for my sister.
Uh-huh.
And
boy, you're a pretty nice brother.
Well, she's divorced with a couple kids, and I didn't spend a great deal of money for it. It was only about $750. But
that was very nice of you.
Thank you. But what happened was I got the floor model, which I wasn't supposed to get. It was supposed to be a brand new set.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my question is, do you think I have a good case for small claims against this particular person?
How do you know it was a floor model? Let's start with that.
It had a few blemishes in it when first of all, I left a deposit and paid a COD on it.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't there when it got delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had seen it's a pillow type couch and a sofa.
Mm-hmm.
And with the one pillow on the end, it sort of overlapped a rip up near the top. And there was a couple other spots in some other places.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately, this guy here, he's only open like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this was on a Thursday that it was delivered.
He's only open 3 days a week?
He works out of a flea market. He has a pretty large section, and it's all floor model stuff, and I guess the stuff that you purchase comes from a warehouse or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I got this...
hey, mister, want to buy a hot sofa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I called him like the next day, which was Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, first of all, to back up a little bit here, I got a little faster. He called the day of delivery. The delivery guy did.
Yeah.
And he said, we have a set exactly like the set you bought, but it's a different material. Would you be interested in seeing it? Because we're on our way by there, and we'd like to show you this set. If you want this one, we'll give you this one.
Even at no break or anything?
Right.
Well,
it's the same price. It's the same price. It's just a different material. It's like a Herculon. Well, my sister happened to like the stuff that she got.
Yeah.
So she said, no.
No, I want the one we contracted for. What an unreasonable sister. Goodness.
She said, I like the one that we bought. That's the one I want. The guy said, okay, no problem. He said, I'll be there in about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened was, obviously, they didn't have the one in the warehouse. So he went back, took the one off the floor, brought that one here, and took the Herculon one back to the place he sells on.
Put it on the floor, sure.
Right. So the next day when I called him, which was Friday, I went in there. I couldn't get a hold of him for a couple hours. He was out, and
there was the Herculon on the floor. You said, what happened to the floor model?
Right. I went in there, and that's exactly what it was.
Sherlock Holmes. Go ahead.
So I tried to pursue this. He was going to, well, first of all, he agreed to send me a brand new set, which he told me would take 6 to 8 weeks. Okay? He said when these people that make this furniture get on a certain pattern, they stay on it, which I don't really know, okay? I mean...
Nor do I.
So I went along with it. He seemed reasonable, I don't know if I was gullible or what it was, but I went along with the program. So it went on and on and on. So finally, he was going to send. First of all, he was going to come out and look at it. Then he was.
Well, listen. Let's get past all that stuff.
Okay.
All right. In fact, is the set that you received, aside from the fact that we know it was on the floor, if you didn't know that, if you walked in and just saw the stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are there things that are wrong with this that as a result of it being on the floor?
The day I got it, you mean?
Yeah, nothing that the kids have done to it now.
Yeah, certainly.
What was wrong with it?
Well, it had a tear up near the top.
All right, what else?
There was I don't know, if you know how furniture gets when it's butted up together or like on the edges.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a certain shine to it, like wear from, scooting it out or back and forth and rubbing against something.
On the back where it doesn't show?
On the sides. Okay. On the side of the couch, more or less.
My point, what I'm trying to get to is, would you be willing to take a dollar reward from this guy and keep this furniture?
Oh, I tried to come to agreements with him on several occasions.
And what does he say?
Well, first of all, he wanted to, but he didn't want to. He said yes, he'd do this, he'd do that, and then when I go there, it's always something comes up where he changes his mind. The last time that I dealt with him, he wanted me to give him $100, and he was going to give me a brand new set.
Why would you give him $100?
Well, that's what I thought. I said, why should I come out of my pocket with another $100 when I got the floor mount?
What did he say?
He just left it at that. I filed a claim in small claims court.
Yeah, and what happened?
Well, the court date was about to arrive, I should say, and he postponed it, and he wants to get his lawyer.
He got a continuance.
Right.
All right. Go ahead.
So now this is where it's laying.
Well, you're in small claims court. Let the judge decide it.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering if you thought I had a good case.
How much did you ask for?
Well, I asked for the price of the furniture, and he could take it back, and whatever it cost me for the small claims, which was around $40-some.
Okay. But I think that what they're going to probably do is the judge, if I'm guessing correctly, is going to say the same thing I just said to you. Listen, is there something we could take? What kind of money would be necessary to make this thing square? $100, $200? And I think that's what he's going to say. It'd be a lot easier to move this stuff all over the place.
Yeah, well, it was $300, which I agreed upon with him.
Well, make sure you get that in.
Well, he didn't. I went to see him. He told me he would do it. And then when I went,
listen to me. I mean, make sure you get that into the testimony.
Uh-huh.
That the guy offered you $300, and you said that's fair. I'll take it, and then he reneged.
Well, look, can I tell you one more thing real quick here?
Sure.
After about 6 or 8 weeks, finally I got tired of back and forth, and I went to him. I said, "Look, can I get something in writing?" Mm-hmm. He said, "Sure." So he gave me a receipt, just like the one that was written up for the furniture. And he said, 3 pieces to be exchanged, no charge. Now, does that have any bearing?
Well, if he's going to exchange it, fine. But I think that's foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
As a practical, unless there's something that's really, really desperately bad, if he can give you the $300, take the $300, give it to your sister, or go buy something for kids and get on with your life.
We would have been happy with that.
Good luck to you.
Believe me.
Get that into your testimony in small claims court. Hi, Bruce Williams. Stick around, kids. We're delighted you're here. That is a fact. This is Talknet. Let's go to Buffalo. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am well on your cellular phone. What's happening?
I understand that you are not an attorney, and I'm just looking for some guidance as opposed to anything close to legal advice.
Talk to me.
My wife and I have recently started a small business. Just to give you an idea how small, the entry fee for all of this was $8,500.
What kind of an enterprise?
We would both vend and sell some equipment which would allow a restaurant owner to bring a phone right to their restaurant's customer's table.
Like a cordless phone.
Exactly. However, the charge for the call would also be able to be included into the customer's guest check. And instead of fishing around in your pocket for loose change, and then going down to the bathroom and using a payphone, then
it'll automatically build?
Yes, it'll automatically include the amount of the call, the charge for the call, print out a receipt, an itemized receipt for each call that you make.
And a surcharge, I'm sure.
You are sure.
Yeah.
And then that would be included.
Well, that used to be the coolest thing. If you were in a good restaurant and you were a good customer, you got seated at either there's a phone in Las Vegas. A lot of the tables will have telephones along the wall, or alternatively, I remember Chasen's in Los Angeles. They had telephone jacks at the table, and naturally you had to get a phone call because nobody was anybody. You didn't get telephone calls during dinner. Absolutely grossly rude. But, I mean, that was the big thing to impress people. And then, of course, today, the ultimate is to bring your portable phone and thunk it on a table.
Yes, and tell somebody across the table to turn it off for you.
Yeah. Isn't that disgusting?
Yeah.
Anyhow, not a bad idea, though, I mean, for the busy, particularly the lunchtime crowd.
Yes, that's what we thought. And then not having the change to use the payphone.
Oh, aside from that, the convenience of having it at the table, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we saw all these advantages for both the restaurant owner being able to provide an additional service and the convenience for the restaurant customer. And so obviously we bid. And we've been getting some adequate guidance as to how to sell and maintain and present this service and how to service the customer, our customer being the restaurant owner.
Do you sell the equipment or the service?
Either way.
I mean,
we can either sell the equipment and then the restaurant owner would get 100% of whatever. Yeah,
you're out. You just made a sale. You're gone. Or you can lease the equipment to him, I assume, or in some way retain ownership.
Well, yeah, the other option would be to retain ownership, and then we would, at the end of the month, I would come in, punch a code into the phone, we'd get an itemized list of the activity on that phone,
right?
And then the restaurant owner and I would split the money 60-40. And then
well, how's it going?
We're only 3 weeks into it.
Oh, okay.
And we're gathering information as to how to protect ourselves and how to be a good business.
Well, what do you mean protect yourself?
Well, that's the main reason I'm calling you. Is we're interested in also limiting our risk and our liability. For example, one is as being a new business, even though we're this small, would you suggest doing things like getting a DBA registered?
Yeah, that's the law. Unless you're using your own name, you can't change so much as a syllable.
Okay.
If you're going to use anything in a fictitious name, it has to be registered, clearly.
I see.
I don't care how small you are. Furthermore, technically, if somebody makes a check to you to that trade style, you've got to file a DBA with the bank. Otherwise, the bank legally cannot cash that check.
Okay.
Or in any way except for deposit.
Okay.
So at the least you have to do that, or at the most form a corporation, sure.
Okay.
I don't see much liability potential here, to tell you the truth.
Well, one of the concerns was like somebody coming back to us and saying that because of the poor quality of the phone service, I'm going to sue you for $5 million because I couldn't close this deal over the phone because there's noise in the line.
I cannot imagine that being a factor.
Okay, all right.
I really can't. If that were the case, I could think of one service which I use from time to time, and they do go out of their way. It's getting better. That's telephones on airplanes.
Okay.
But they are clearly not a defined art.
Okay.
No, I don't think your liability. No, that's a question ultimately that you should ask your attorney.
Absolutely.
But I don't see any great liability in the service you're providing.
Okay.
I'd be more concerned about somebody cutting their lip on the telephone, really.
All right. Well, is that? I mean, I plan on getting insurance for phone theft for the phones that we maintain ownership of.
Mm-hmm.
But should we get a level of liability insurance in case somebody...
You could do that, and I suspected the cost would be nominal.
Okay.
The exposure's nominal.
Okay. Well, that was my question.
Hey, go get them, kid. You know, these new phones are amazing. I have a yuppie phone in my car. I mean, I've had car telephone for a long time. But this one is a relatively new unit to me. And you can push a button and the guts of the phone go with you, so you can carry it around. I don't do that very often. I just don't see much purpose to that. But I finally broke down and read the manual, you see. And when all else fails, read the manual. You know, this stupid phone, one of the things, you can push a combination of buttons that tells you how many minutes and how many seconds you've talked on the phone ever. Ever. Since its inception, it tells me how many minutes, hours, and seconds that Now, there's a piece of information nobody needed. How often I've talked on a telephone in the last year. Now, why in the world would you want to know that? Well, these computer chips. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Tomorrow, along about 2, a little before 2 in the afternoon, Bill and I will be here taking your calls off the air, laying them down on tape for our Turkey Day Eve program. Yes, you'll hear the same program a little later tomorrow. So if you'd like to give us a shout from anywhere in North America, the number is 800-TALKNET. St. Johnsbury. My goodness, what an eye. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi, how you doing? How are things in Vermont?
No, I'm sorry. You've gotten Irving, Texas.
Well, that's pretty close. Vermont and Irving, Texas. Poor Bill. Every time this happens, Lally, and he ages 6 years. Well, go ahead. Line 6, Bill. We are going to have to get a razor blade and just chop line 6 out of existence here. This has been quite a day, I must tell you. You're just part of a comedy of errors. Go ahead. I'm delighted. Where are you? Irving, Texas?
Yes.
That's outside of Dallas, if memory serves me.
Right. It's where Exxon is moving to.
Yeah, I had to say that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Make everybody in New York unhappy.
I had a question. We have two problems, if I can ask you about both.
Sure.
One is my wife had a grandmother who died a couple years ago and left her a house.
All right. Where, the house is in your state?
Yes, it's in the same city.
Okay.
But she didn't want to become a landlord.
Meaning your wife?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so a situation arose where she could sell just the house and not the property, which she wanted to retain. So she sold it to a friend.
Now, back up. You mean she's going to subdivide off a little chunk of property?
Well, she sold the house.
Just the building, not the land underneath it?
Right, just the improvement, not the land.
Boy, that's a great way to maintain a friendship.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, I know that.
It's more of an acquaintance.
Well, why would anybody buy the building without the land?
Well, originally, as I understand it, it was so that she could move the building.
I see.
She had supposedly another piece of land that she could move the house to.
That's a good answer, and that was a foolish question on my part. I hadn't thought of that. Go ahead.
However, she didn't want to do that right away, so they worked out an arrangement where she could lease the property on a yearly basis for a nominal amount.
For how long?
A year. And at the end of the year, they renewed it for one more year.
That was mutually agreeable.
Right.
Okay.
At the end of the second year, she came back to my wife and said, I want to sell you the house back.
Oh.
Because I would rather do that than move it.
What did your wife say?
Well, she said, fine, I'll buy it back from you. She said, well, how much do you want for it? Originally, she sold the house just for $1,000.
Yeah.
And she said, I want $3,000.
Oh, you tell her, you got to be kidding.
Yes, that's what she said. Well, that went on for a little while. The way the lease they wrote up was worded was that you had at the end of the lease you have 90 days
to move it.
To move it,
or it reverts to your wife.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Go ahead.
And during the 90 days when that was running, my wife made a counteroffer to buy it back for about $1,000. And
why did she do that?
Well, because since in 2 years we found out we could get a real estate person to handle the property as a rental property and just take a nominal fee out of the rent to manage the property.
Go ahead. So
we never knew that.
Where are we?
And anyhow, so yesterday or today, the 90 days ran and the property hadn't been moved.
So it belongs to you now.
Right. But over the weekend, it turns out it ran on Saturday. And apparently on Saturday, they started trying to tear it down. And yesterday, somehow they caught it on fire, which is how we got wind that they were doing this after it had reverted to us.
When did the 90-day period end?
Saturday. Actually, midnight, 12:01 a.m. Saturday.
12:01 Saturday.
Right.
All right.
I'm sorry. She's yelling Friday.
Okay. All right. And they burned it down on.
Well, the burning did only minimal amount of damage, but it's actually the attempting to tear it down that's done more destruction.
How much damage?
Well, we're going to have a builder look at it tomorrow, but he, from what I told him, he said about $10,000 to $20,000.
You got to be kidding!
Just over the phone. They ripped out the roof and a lot of the supporting of the.
In one day, just to be nasty, huh?
Well, apparently that's all we can figure because she made a statement that if she didn't buy it back, my wife, she would tear it down so that it was unusable. And
well, she had a right to do that.
During the 90 days.
During the 90 days.
But the fire and all this was after the 90 days had run.
And the tearing it down, was it the 90 days?
Yes, after the 90 days.
Well, in that case, I think you've got the basis of a decent lawsuit.
Well, great. Well, that's kind of what we're trying to figure out. We just don't really know where to proceed to.
Well, you proceed to your lawyer's office. Do not pass go and don't look for the $200.
Oh, great. Well, now we know what to do.
Instantly.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, but remember, time is your enemy here.
That's what we figured, so we thought we'd call you right away.
Indeed.
Can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
We had a refrigerator painted because we moved into a new house and it didn't match the kitchen.
Yeah.
When they picked it up, it was like it had just been delivered. It was only about a year old, and it was showroom clean.
Except it was the wrong color.
It was exactly. It was only a year old, but
all right.
When they returned it painted. However, they were missing parts to the doors and stuff.
You get tied up with the doggondest people, don't you?
Apparently.
What kind of parts were missing?
Screws and hinges that held the door together. Also, they cracked.
They probably pulled the hardware off in order to paint it.
Right, but then they lost it. Also, they cracked the interior lining and scratched it up.
You're in what part of the country you in? You're in Texas, right?
Right.
Are you planning on flying in the next few weeks?
Not on your life.
Good. I don't want to fly with you. I just want to know if you're going to fly. Let me know what airline you're flying with. I'm going to pass them by that week. Well, if you didn't have bad luck, you wouldn't have luck at all, would you?
Not lately.
Boy.
Well, what we did on this, we had them deliver it, and we just said, well, we're not going to pay you now. We'll settle this up when we get it all straight. Well, they came back with some of the parts, but not all of them.
Until they put the refrigerator in perfect order, I wouldn't give them a penny.
Well, that's what we didn't do. And finally, since they didn't get it running right away, we called another appliance repair service, and they came out and made it good.
And how much did that cost?
Well, we have we're waiting on one more part.
About?
It's about probably $150.
What did it cost to get it painted?
About $290.
Well, I'd send them a check in this case for $140.
They're into me now for about $5,000.
I understand people have hard times, and you have to feel sorry for them. But on the other hand, one segment of society support another. If in fact these folks are deserving of support, then everybody ought to pay, and that means welfare. You should not be an adjunct to the welfare department in your area, which is what you're becoming right now. Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, the law is not even-handed in this regard.
Okay, Bruce.
All I can do is sympathize, kid.
Okay, I'll hang in there then.
I wish you well, but by all means, keep in touch with your attorney. He could answer the question, the first part, but the second part, nobody can answer. What good is a judgment against the guy I was working?
It cost me money to the attorney.
Absolutely.
I'm losing all the way around.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay, Bruce.
I wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. This is Talknet.
Oh, Bruce, I'm sympathetic before I am.
Hello, yeah. I think the law is so lopsided with regard to the guy's down on his luck. That's fine, but why in the world should this fellow who's got to keep paying his mortgage subsidize him? Well, you go through this long, intricate process of getting them out of your pay. You don't pay. It seems to me that certainly a week or two you should be able to get people to lift it. But we won't go into other arguments. So, Busty, Wisconsin, your turn.
Yes, hello.
Hello there.
Hello. My problem is very trivial, but I'm asking it anyway.
Why should you know?
Well, listening to your other questions, and I listen to you often, we just ran into this. My kids went to this place to rent movies.
Oh, you
New place that just opened.
That's the generation. How many movies do you rent?
Exactly.
Exactly. That's the generation gap. But the VCR is kind of an extension of their personality.
Right. And cost-wise of going to movies besides. But anyway, they went to this new place well, you don't want to know the town, I suppose.
That's not important.
But anyway, rented 2 movies. This was yesterday. And no prices up anywhere. So
No prices on the rentals?
No prices up on the walls. That's what I noticed today. That's what I'm just
in terms of
what I'm saying.
In terms of what it costs to rent a film. Okay.
Right. They went out. My daughter went in. They rang it all up in the computer and everything else, and paid for it. And this morning I forgot. We take them overnight and bring them back the next morning on the way to work. Well, I forgot them, so I stopped after work to pay for another ticket because we live 20 miles north of this town.
Oh my gosh.
And with the cost of gas right now that just went up another 20 cents, But anyway, so she says it would cost me another $6-something to rent these movies for another day. And I
$3 a piece.
Yeah, and I said, no, she only paid half that amount initially. And it's all run up and everything.
No, wait, let's back up. She paid $3 to rent them for one day.
Right. Well, $3 and some odd cents.
Yeah, well, there's tax in there.
Right.
And then they want $6 for day 2?
Right.
Why is that?
Because now she tells me because they are new releases. Well, I
wait a minute, hold back up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Does that mean that they mischarged you the first day?
That's what she's telling me.
Oh, I tell her I'm sorry. I wouldn't pay
That's
it.
what I said to her, and I said, you had your person behind the counter that took care of them. Everything's listed. Everything's priced out. She paid the money, and so she throws this piece of paper at me saying, we have this cost for new listings, or new releases, I'm sorry. But nothing's posted. You know.
I wouldn't pay him.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I wouldn't tell her. She posted me. She said it was my fault because I'm the customer and not the person behind the counter who should know the cost.
Why is it your fault?
That's what. As I was even walking out the door, you know, after a long day, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
You didn't pay her $6. You didn't pay the $6. Tell
well,
me.
obviously not.
You and I are helping hands, sweetheart.
But I will be making a trip back to Green Bay. Oops, I said
That's
that.
all right. That Green Bay's a big town.
Yes. To return the movies.
Oh, you still haven't returned? Oh, I see. You haven't returned them yet.
No, because we forgot them.
I will drop in and see the manager and say, I don't know.
This young gal, you know, she kept yelling at me. It's your fault. It's your fault. And I'm saying, ma'am, you are behind the counter.
Look, Holly, there's no point in when you get some dummy.
That's why I walked out.
There's no point in arguing with dummies. Really. I had a guy
I didn't know how trivial this was.
I had a guy in a
they
previous...
can run up across this or against this another time.
All you got to do is eat the mistake. Say, I'm sorry, we undercharged you. You got a bargain. I'd give her the $3 for the first day, $3 for the second day, and that's it. End of story.
In other words, you wouldn't pay. But I'm saying when we return them movies, can they charge us another $3?
They can. Look, wait a minute. How many days are you going to have the film?
Well, I'm not renting them for another day because we will run back into.
All I want to know is how many days are you going to have them? Well, you had them for 2, I think.
No, today at 7 they were for 2. You know, you're charged 1 day until the next day at 7.
So you only have the. In other words, if you get it back before a certain time today,
right?
You owe.
I don't know
what your daughter paid was.
Initially, I don't know.
In that case, I'd get it back to him and say, lots of luck. I would no way, and I'd say, furthermore, I want you to understand something. We could have been a regular customer.
That's what.
But the next time I see my kids in here, they will have to work out on their broken legs. There's no way.
My type of person.
Pardon?
You're my man.
Oh, you vote with your feet. And if your kids try to vote the other way, you don't give them feet. I wish you well, dear.
Thank you very much.
Be sure and see the manager when you get there and let him know or her know.
I planned on something.
I got a feeling they will say, hey, they couldn't work things home for nothing. If they have half a brain, they will.
Well, the insulting doesn't, you know.
No, they go out. You got to read, but on the other side of that, okay?
Okay.
The poor guy who owns the place, he's got health problems like the rest of us.
Right.
Unless it was the manager, then all bets are off.
Thank
Take good
you.
care. I wish you well. I would put up with that for a moment. Vote with your feet. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
Reach out and touch a friend at 1-800-TalkNet.
Amarillo, Texas, it's your turn. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. I hope to benefit from your advice.
Well, let's give it a left shot.
All right. Well, I have a mortgage held by 2 individuals, my dad and my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought it with no equity down. They carry the whole.
Okay. Your family's upshot.
That's right. So my dad has the first mortgage, brother holds the second mortgage.
Oh, my goodness. I see.
Okay. Now, my brother wants out. And I have an idea I could bounce off you first, but if you got any other advice.
Well, why does he want out? Let's start with that.
He needs to buy another house to cover his capital gain before the government takes their share.
He needs the money, in other words.
That's right. He cashed out. Let's see, I bought from my brother.
Uh-huh.
And he carried a note for some of the equity in the house, and he took the rest of the equity and went off. He's been spending it, saving it, and doing other things. Well, now, so the government's come up, and if he doesn't buy a house by the end of the year, then the government's going to take their share on the capital gain on the house.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd like to do is to get both of these people to agree for a short period of time to basically nullify the mortgage on the house. I'll continue to carry the note, but I don't want to have any debt against the house.
Yeah.
Now, what I'd like to be able to do, given that the title becomes free and clear, is go to a bank saying, I have a free and clear title. I want to take a mortgage out for what my brother wants, $23,000. And
Where's that leave your old man? How much is he loan? Did he loan you?
I owe $96 to him.
And why would your father do something like that? He'd be crazy.
Well, it's temporary. What I'd
I
like
don't care if it's 1 minute, he'd be crazy. What do you want to do? I don't see why you want to do it. Go ahead.
Okay, well, the idea is that if the bank sees that I have a free and clear title, they're more than willing to give me a...
But 26, that's easy. It's a matter. If your brother's paying it, it's my way.
Okay, well, now I put my father back on...
As a second mortgagee.
Second mortgage for the $96,000.
Yeah, your old man got out of his mind.
Okay, and why is that?
Why? Because he's second in line behind your brother. Behind that $26,000.
Well, really, if the bank replaces, then he's holding a second, to the bank's first.
He's holding a second anyway, that's right. So why would your father do that?
Well,
what? You're asking your father to do something nobody else would do. Take a secondary position on a primary note.
Well, he did that,
No, he had a primary position before.
That's true, he did have...
Your brother had a secondary position. That's a lousy thing to ask your old man.
Okay.
Your old man, is your father loaded?
Well, he's not loaded, but he's retired, and...
That's an unconscionable thing to ask your father. Suppose you get in trouble. Suppose you die.
That's true.
Your old man's stuck, huh?
Yeah, but if he's stuck on the first mortgage,
Not as much as stuck on the second. How much is the house worth right now?
I would say $125.
All right, so your father would not be stuck. Your brother might get stuck on a distress sale, but your father wouldn't. But you reverse the scenario.
Exactly.
Your father gets stuck.
Okay.
Tell your brother, I'm sorry, kid. I have the money.
Okay.
If you want to go out and try to... Let's face it, your brother took that to facilitate a sale of his property.
That's true.
Yeah, but that's part of the price. There's a good chance he might not have been able to sell that house at that same price if he hadn't done that.
Yeah, that was our reasoning.
Well, in that case, he's got to take the hit. Now, let him go out and borrow the $25,000 against your mortgage someplace. If he's talking about property.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, is what alternatives, but he could use that that asset
as collateral for a loan. You have to make payments on it. But I think what you're doing to asking your old man is absolutely out of bounds.
Right.
And furthermore, there'll be a time there when your father would have no mortgage, right?
Right. That's what you relies on.
Pardon?
Yeah, that's what the plan relies on for the night.
For a couple of hours or days, what happens if you go out and do something stupid like turn over a school bus? Well, your father's completely out of it.
Well, I did take your advice and got $1 million liability.
Ain't enough. Suppose you did $2 million.
Right.
You jeopardize your father's retirement.
Yeah.
Something wrong with that, my friend. I mean, I appreciate having the umbrella. Don't misunderstand me. But it's just that you know what the worst part of this, you see, is your father says, "Well, he's my kid. I got to do it." Right. I would never put him in that position. I think it would be a very bad thing to do. Why would you put him in that position where he's got to make that choice?
Well, to help me and my brother.
Nonsense. Why would you? Is it written someplace in stone? And a retired father's got to help his sons to help him run their lives?
Certainly not.
He's already helped you.
Yeah.
And he helped your brother. Now you want him to jeopardize his retirement for you guys. Tell me, where's the morality in that?
Well, yeah, it's your point.
I mean, I'm not trying to screw him. But what happens if you go sell it?
Yeah, that's true. Danville County, I'm assuming the likelihood is so low.
Yeah, well, that's nice. If the likelihood is so low, go convince one of the banks.
Right.
They don't think it's so low, do they? They won't give you the money. Why would you ask mortgage problem than the bank? The bank's only money. Your father, it's his retirement. No, I would not even. And if your father were to ask me, I'd say absolutely not. And frankly, I'll think I'll rent less than you guys if you ask that of me.
Okay, well, that's why I asked you first.
Okay, kid. I do wish you well.
Well, thank you very much.
Work it out with your brother, but don't put your father in jeopardy. Something like that. I'm sure you understand. At least we didn't stick around. Elko, Nevada. Thank you very much for hanging in there. What's on your mind?
Good afternoon, Bruce.
Hi there.
How would you like me to send you 102-degree heat?
How do you package that?
In the air. Anyway, Bruce, I'm having a problem with a water company. What it is, they've estimated my water bill for 6 months.
Oh, don't you love that? They didn't come in.
It.
Oh, how often are you billed for water?
Every month.
That's unusual. Most water companies bill quarterly.
Yeah. Well, first 2 months I paid a $3.50 estimated bill.
$3.50?
Yeah, and then the last 4 months I paid a $33.50 bill.
Yeah.
So the other day, some people from the water company were out in front of my property.
Yeah.
And I walked out to see what they were doing. And they said, well, we're replacing the meter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I said, what's wrong with the meter? Well, it's been busted for over 6 months. They haven't been able to read it, so this is why they estimated. Now, I've got 5 people living in the family, and I've got just a little small yard that I'm watering. And so I called the water company, and I asked them, I said, look at it. I said, how much do I owe? Where am I sitting on my water bill? Da-da-da-da. And they said, well, we don't have any idea how much water you've used in the last 6 months. That's why we've estimated you at the high limit of 50,000 gallons. Well, all my bills for 6 months prior to that were all...
Forget the last... How long have you lived in the house?
Over a year.
That's not long enough. I'm going to take a look at the 6 months period, the same 6 months a year ago. How much were the bills for those periods?
About 10,000 gallons, which is about $12.50.
In that case, that's why I say, look, here's the comparable period a year ago. I'm not going to pay you the max out. That's your problem.
Yeah, because I figured I paid $140 on their estimated large bill thing, and I figured they'd owe me some money back.
Indeed.
And what they're saying is, well, no, let's go from 0.0 on the meter because it's a brand new meter.
That's fine, but you say, you guys, it wasn't my fault that the meter was broken. And matter of fact, how was I to know the meter was broken?
Yeah.
Meters are buried down the street someplace.
Yeah, well, I just buried in front of my yard here.
Without regard. How many people, I'll bet you there's not one person, 1,000, has ever even seen a water meter that's buried in the ground.
Yeah.
You're talking about the ones underneath. You got to look down a hole, right?
Yeah, right.
Not one person, 1,000's ever seen one. Your position will be clearly, I don't know the meter was broken. Empirically, here's what I used for that 6 month period a year ago. That's what I expect to pay.
Yeah, see, what they're saying is they want to go back.
I know what they're saying.
Yeah, put it at 20,000 gallons a month.
I know what they're saying.
And I don't think that's fair. I'm just
I just gave you a method which is eminently fair and defensible.
Okay, and that would be, to me, would be the sound solution, too.
I would think so. Good luck, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Okay, kid. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Santa Barbara, California. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
Good. My husband and I run a business, and we manage accounts receivables for other businesses.
What, you collect from, is that it?
Yeah, but we're not a collection agency. We basically, most of it's medical billing. And we help them manage that and collect the money for them.
The money is paid to you, and then you give it to your clients?
Correct. Well, all the money is actually, the checks are actually made out to the individuals. We just deposit it for them.
But they're mailed to you, though.
But they're mailed to us.
Okay.
Okay, we have a contract that's pending because they want us to have a $50,000 fidelity bond.
For what reason? If the checks are always mailed to their order, how in the world can you get into that money? Well, you could theoretically open an account in their name.
Yeah.
The chances are remote.
The chances are remote.
But you could steal. Anything can be stolen.
Right. And anything can be embezzled, I guess, if you're smart enough.
Absolutely.
So they want us to have a $50,000 fidelity bond. I've been told I can't get one because, one, we don't have any employees. And two, then
you have an employee. Are you a corporation?
Nope, just my husband and I. And I said, well, I can make my husband the employee.
You form a corporation, you're both employees.
Okay, but then we both have to carry workman's comp insurance also.
Absolutely, but that's not very much in your case because it's clerical work.
So that would be the way to get around that.
Well, I'm not sure of that, but I mean, if that's the problem, if a corporation can get.
Well, they also told me they won't bond us as husband and wife.
All right, but as employees, you could get bonded. Is that correct? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, see, I can't say that because they're still saying they won't bond husband and wife. Even if we're employees, we're still husband and wife.
Well, is that the case or not?
It appears, yes.
Why would they not bond husband and wife?
They just say they can't get an underwriter to get it.
Well, have you tried another broker?
I tried 3.
And they all gave you the same answer?
They all gave me the same answer. They all said no.
What alternative did they offer to you?
They didn't. That's why I'm asking you.
Well, I mean,
Is there another alternative?
Did you say to them?
Yes.
If we form
the only thing that they could give me would be a security bond, but the limit on it is $10,000. And for the $10,000 bond, they want $580 a year for it.
Well, that's maybe the cost of doing business, honey.
Oh, that's a lot of money for only a $10,000 bond.
Well, that may be, but that's still maybe the cost of doing business. Why do these people insist upon this bond?
Because that's the sort of contract they have with other vendors, and that's what they want.
Well, in that case, if this may be you're going to run this again. If other guys are doing this, why wouldn't you be able to?
Well, just because I don't want to have employees, so.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why? Must be an echo in here. Why?
It works fine without them. We're doing fine without them. We don't want it to be huge. We like it the way it is.
Well, unfortunately, there are some things you don't have a lot of options in.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to play the game according to the rules that other people call.
Yeah.
Or you're going to have to give up that particular business. Meaning that I don't mean the business you're in, but the business.
That contract.
But it just seems to me that if it's a landscape, how much is a contract worth to you? Maybe we should have asked about that before.
Well, the contract's probably worth. This one is probably worth about $10,000.
A year.
A year.
Your end.
My end.
Well, $500.
I know.
Only 5%.
Yeah. But.
Well, what?
But that bond's only a $10,000 bond.
Well, you may.
I have to have a $50,000 bond.
They won't go for a.
No.
Well, in that case, I don't think. How come the other guys can get it and you can't?
Because they have employees. That's why. That's the only thing.
But they won't, and you can't qualify as an employee.
If we're husband and wife.
Even if it's a corporation.
Even if it's a corporation. They told me they will not bond a husband and wife.
Well, why not just bond one of you?
I can't bond. I can't make my husband an employee and bond him either because we're still husband and wife.
Wait a minute. No, that's not quite what you said a moment ago. They won't bond husband. Maybe you didn't ask the question the same way. They won't bond husband and wife, but will they bond a husband or a wife?
No.
Did you ask it that way?
Yes.
And why will they not?
Because it's a relationship.
If it's a corporation, there's no relationship.
Well, they say there is. That's what they told me.
What is the relationship? I'm just curious. What's the relationship? You're from a corporation. I've just created a person.
Right.
I created a person separate and distinct from me, with separate liabilities, separate rights, separate privileges, and separate responsibilities. Is that not true?
It seems like that would be true.
No, that seems like it. That is true.
That seems true, but the 3 places I told me still said they won't bond as this husband because of our relationship.
Well, why don't you hire somebody for trial? Hire a clerk or anybody else in your company? Do you have any relatives?
Yeah. I just would like to know. I just want to know if there's any other way around it. I mean, I can fix it so I get an employee. If I have to have an employee, I don't care.
One of your mother-in-law
is
an employee. I mean,
that's right. They can work an hour a month.
There you go. You want to skin the cat out?
Out of that. I have a problem that I'm not really quite sure how to deal with. I had an accident almost 3 years ago.
I take it this is a vehicular accident?
Right.
All right.
Okay, I had an original lawyer that was working on the case, but he got promoted and couldn't handle the case anymore. He said it was a very strong case. Mm-hmm. And he suggested another lawyer. So I went to this lawyer.
In the same firm or a different firm?
Different firm.
All right.
Okay. So I went to this lawyer over 2 months ago, and I talked to him, and I told him, about the case. And meanwhile, my lawyer had sent him over my thoughts and stuff, And he said he'd look through the file and write down what he felt.
Mm-hmm. What we can expect to see tonight from it. Was this strictly a physical damage claim, or is there bodily injury involved here?
Well, I've been in therapy almost 3 years.
Then there is bodily injury then.
Right.
Okay, that's all I know. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, the original lawyer had sent my folder over to this other lawyer. lawyer number 2. Anyway, lawyer number 2 said that he was going to look over the case and write down his feelings about it and send me one of these release, forms that he could handle it and medical records, like that.
Okay.
Okay. So I didn't hear from him. I didn't get anything in the mail or anything, So I called him up and I asked him, I said, are you going to take this case? I haven't heard from you. This is like 2-3 weeks after. And he said he had written up stuff and that his secretary was going to type it out and send it to me. Right. So, this was about 2 months ago, and I called up the secretary and I said, I asked her, if she was going to send me something. He said, and she told me he never gave her anything.
Figures.
That he's been real busy.
The guy's sloppy, clearly.
And I'm wondering, can I rely on this?
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
We're only a few months before the vacation's over.
How old are you?
35.
Then that's a silly question for a lady your age. Sure.
I want to believe in this.
No, you don't. But I don't want you to believe in it. But the guy he lied to you, which we'll call it a white lie, but nonetheless lied to you. And then he's been very sloppy and hasn't followed up and so forth. And you come back and ask me, can you rely on him? If this guy was an airplane pilot, would you want to fly with him? If he was a parachute packer, would you want to jump in his parachute?
Well, the thing is, too, is I'm working with only a few months now for the deadline, to file.
But you can file. A new attorney can file in 1 day. So you're talking about the statutory provisions.
So you think this guy...
I'd jump him in a heartbeat.
Would?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that helps a little bit. I had this feeling, but I thought, well, maybe these guys, I wanted to see your opinion on, are these guys really that busy that they can't get back to you in 2 months?
Of course not. And but you see, there's another side to this, which you may as well face. And that's that nobody is really thinking you got a real strong case here.
Well, the original lawyer said it was absolutely...
You're not listening to me, because I don't care what he said to you. You've heard the old expression, actions speak louder than words. Well, this is a case where the actions are speaking a great deal louder. Now, it may well be you have a very solid case from a legal point of view, but it may equally be that the amount of damages are going to be very small. And since they're working on a percentage of those damages, there's not enough to get anybody really interested. You can bet your life and firstborn child, if we were talking about a potential $1 million settlement, nobody'd be losing you. But that's probably not the case. You mentioned you've been in therapy. What kind of therapy?
I had injuries to my shoulders and my neck.
That's hard even to prove.
And
how much? Well, let's talk about that. What you have in the way of doctor bills?
Oh, about $6,000 to $8,000.
That much?
Yeah.
Well, rule of thumb, you could figure somewhere that this case will probably come in between 15 and 20. So you're talking about a $6,000 deal for him. Not much.
But I also lost my second job because of it. It was a kind of job where I needed to lift things, and
well, I'm not denigrating the claim. Don't misunderstand me. But I'm telling you, from their point of view, what they're saying is this is small potatoes for us, and it's just not something. Their other items would take priority. If this was a big claim, you were, God forbid, paralyzed, and there was plenty of money in insurance and so on and so forth, and there's no question about the liability, you'd have these guys falling all over each other.
So you think he's just kind of back on it?
Absolutely so. His actions seem to indicate that. He lied to you. His secretary was honest with you. Nothing's happened. Doesn't return telephone calls. I think you get a message. I try somebody else. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talk. Let's go now to South Portland, Maine. How you doing?
Pretty good. The question I had a daughter fall off or was pushed off the top of one of those play gyms. And the area where she was standing I didn't think it was really safe after I really got a good look at it afterwards, because it was about 6.5 feet high, and there was nothing to hold the kids in. There was a bar about hip level to me, but there was nothing in between it where a little child could fall out.
What do you mean to hold them in?
So they don't fall the 6.5 feet down, which is what happened to my child.
Well, it's like a jungle gym or something like that. Well, that's part of the hazard of being on a jungle gym.
Yeah. Well, it's not really a jungle gym. I don't know what you call them. I mean, they're like wood platforms, and then there's a slide.
Well, that's part of it.
Okay, but they're just saying there's a point that comes out. The rest of it is enclosed.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one point between the slide and where the wood platform is where there's nothing to hold the children in. I mean, she just went and landed flat on her back.
Mm-hmm. How, was she badly hurt?
No, thank God. She was real lucky. She had a couple cuts on the back of her head, and she's be watched for a concussion. But I just didn't know if the city was any kind of negligence. I called them, and they do plan on putting. They said, well, that is, I was correct in saying that there is something wrong, and they do plan on welding some bars in there so it doesn't happen again.
The problem is, is this your first child?
No.
Well, then you know kids get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no way you can, the only that you can insulate them easily from any of this is keep them locked up in a house.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a certain amount of, when you let them go on playground, this flies in the face of conventional wisdom. Everybody says, sue the suckers if they're wrong.
No, I don't want to sue them.
What I'm getting at is, but what I'm trying to get at, that's the, I would be willing to bet you a steak dinner that when you've discussed this with some of your friends, they said you ought to sue the city.
I haven't discussed it.
Well, you discussed it with some of your friends, and somebody's bound to say sue the city.
Well, actually, yes, I've had things that have happened to me before, and they said, well, aren't you going to sue me?
Exactly.
No, because it's life.
Exactly.
I mean,
if you see an obvious hazard and you make them aware, but that's certainly to everyone's. It's certainly it's to the public's advantage. And,
yeah, well, I called them and let them know, and I said, you might want to think, and they said, yes, that's to me, and they're going to, look into it, and they probably have some of their maintenance weld some bars vertically, and so.
But, the troublesome part of that equation is that if you make something totally safe, how much fun? Isn't that true?
Oh, this is just...
You really couldn't have a slide.
Oh, no.
You really could. A swing is a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
You remember, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Well, you're a youngster. You remember swinging on swings and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you must have remembered kids getting the big old smack in the head with a swing that's been loose.
Oh, yeah, or running in front of somebody that...
Sure, knock out a tooth, but unfortunately, that's part of life.
Oh, yes, I understand.
I like your attitude. You sound like an altogether lady.
Thank you.
I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Well, I mean, just on my deductible didn't pay. I didn't know whether I should ask them to pay.
You could ask.
I mean, I'm not looking to go.
I understand. You could certainly ask. And they may be able to pay it if you had on here some kind of medical coverage. But the problem is, which person?
Brenda,
the problem is that so many things, well, you're probably on the wrong side of this issue. I don't mean age-wise. But there was a ton of stuff just a few years before you were able to hit the playground and so forth that are not available anymore to kids because everybody's afraid of being sued.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's kind of a shame,
Yeah, I realize
but they've just taken so much away because everybody is afraid that they're going to be sued. Now, it could be argued, yes, but there's responsibility and so on and so forth. But an awful lot of kids grew up and got broken teeth and whatever and survived.
Oh, yeah.
And it just seems to me a shame that there's been so many activities that were fun and, safe enough. But you can't do them today because, God forbid, the first thing, if you see a kid on skateboarding on your driveway, the first thing you think of is get him out of there because if he falls down, his parents will sue me.
I know, it's insane.
It's kind of a sick society. You're a nice lady. Thank you for your call.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. Let's just talk around. Part of that equation, that lady called from a relatively small town in a relatively, I would say, suburban setting. There are other parts of the country where the mindset is sue the sucker. And we all lose from that. Harrisburg, thanks for running our act in your turn.
Well, I got my postcard today.
Well, I'm so pleased. Thank you very much. You're another one of those nobodies.
Right.
Gosh darn it, we're going to have a lot of nobodies. Thank you very much.
Bruce, you're always admonishing to use your automobile insurance for rental cars.
Well, what I'm suggesting is that there's no reason for redundancy in coverage that you can't when you can't collect. If, as an example, you have collision and comprehensive on your car, and it goes with your driver's license, as is the case in most instances. There are a couple of exceptions. Company cars sometimes are the exception. There's absolutely no reason for you to pay the extra when you rent a car someplace because you can't collect from both sides and you're paying for both sides.
Well, what about all the things that aren't covered?
For example?
Well, for example, loss of use. If you damage their car bad enough, you read the back of it that you're responsible for the loss of use.
They have to prove that in court.
Well,
that they got to be proved that you're responsible.
The 2% administrative charge.
I understand what you're telling me.
Right.
But what they can say and collecting is a whole different matter.
Well, if it was actually insurance, then the insurance departments would certainly regulate it, but they can't regulate it because of so many differences.
That's not true necessarily. For example, the collision damage waiver, and you notice it's not called insurance, it's called a collision damage waiver.
No, it's not even called a collision damage. It's called just a damage.
All right. That is very strictly regulated in some states. For example, in the state of Illinois, they can only charge $2 or $3 a day. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
New York State is regulated if you rent the cars there. Florida is pretty wide open. And
so is Pennsylvania.
There's a whole bunch of stuff on the Florida thing.
So is Pennsylvania.
But you see, my attitude is, go ahead, sue me. I think I'd win. Now, frankly, I never buy the collision damage waiver or the damage waiver. I never buy it. First of all, my credit card says they'll pay for it. Secondly, my company car, we pay extra, so that pays for it.
What about if kids spill things or cut the seat or something like that?
That's a good point. I don't know the answer to that. Spilling, I think it's spilling. You talk about like spilling a soft drink or whatever?
Well, damaging the interior.
No, well, there's a difference. Now, wait a minute. Because there's a difference between cutting and spilling. Because clearly, that's an acceptable risk on the part of the rental car company when you spill a Coca-Cola or something on the seat and it stains it. But your kid whips out a pair of scissors and slashes the upholstery. That is not a predictable activity.
Right.
Rather like if you were in the apartment that you rented for 4 years, the place has got to be painted and the landlord's responsible.
Sure.
If you were there for 2 weeks and you move out and your kid has taken his Crayolas and got all of those brand new colors they just introduced and written all over the walls, that's your responsibility.
What about damaged tires?
What kind of damage? What kind of damage?
All right, you run over a curb.
That's, well, how we get into do we run over a curb or do we hit a pothole?
Either one.
Well, there's a difference. I mean, you can't be expected to avoid every pothole, but you equally can't be expected to hit. You shouldn't be hitting curbs.
That's right. But I mean, suppose you do hit a curb.
I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, you're talking about 100 and 200 block tires. And I say that there's just too many things that are too many questions.
Well, I rent cars certainly 30, 40 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally never, ever. Now, there's one exception, all right? If I were renting a car in Mexico, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Or if I were, there's a couple of other places under the United States flag, which where the drivers are a little more adventuresome than otherwise. And you're not going to pry that out of me with pincers. I might for a day, but if it was any more than a day, I still wouldn't carry coverage.
Well, I was involved in a 3-car accident with a rental car.
Now, what happened?
Huh?
Anyway, let me take a little time out. I want to hear what your experience was. I'm Bruce Williams. I'm chatting with a gentleman in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He's raising some interesting points about your responsibilities when you rent a car. And you were in a 3-car accident. What happened?
Well, a drunk hit the car behind me and then hit around and hit our car.
Okay.
And did considerable damage.
Okay.
Fortunately, nobody was seriously hurt. I mean, we went to the hospital and was cut to bruises.
Okay.
And we did take the deductible. We paid for the damage waiver.
Okay, so they just said go in peace.
Just go in peace. I mean, it was worth it.
Well, yeah, in that sense. And how often do you rent a car?
5 or 6 times a year.
That much? For how many days?
I just rented a van for a whole week, beginning of July.
Well, if you're renting 5 times a year for 35 days a year, let's say 30 days a year, at $13 a day or something like that.
Right.
That's $360, not my $360.
Well, it gives me peace of mind.
Well, it gives you peace of mind, and I said, go in peace.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I wish you well, my friend. Thanks a lot for your call. Oak City, Oklahoma, you're next in round. Hello. I am just fine, thank you.
Great.
5 years ago, myself and another female built and I bought a home.
Are you related in any way?
No, sir, we're not.
Okay.
We both had pretty good jobs at the time, and both of our incomes were used to close on the home.
All right.
See, 3 or 4 years later, subsequently, we both lost our jobs, and kind of bad means, and
Wait, hold on. What do you mean by that? You were friends and you're no longer friends?
we're no longer friends.
Was this just a friend relationship, business, lovers, what?
We were a couple, yes, sir.
Okay, it's fine. I'm just trying to, because if you get into this kind of litigation, those kinds of things are going to come up.
You're asking, because this does happen a lot, and, anyway, it's a problem, we're not the only ones who face this problem.
Indeed.
But anyway, the home was foreclosed on. She moved out before it was foreclosed on. I couldn't sell it. It was not an assumable note. I'm sure you're aware of the housing situation in Oklahoma City.
The oil certainly was a major factor, as well as just a general lethargic real estate market across the nation.
Sure. Anyway, we owed this lady $78,000 on the house. It was foreclosed on and sold at a sales auction for $62,000.
Ooh, boy.
The bank, the lending institution, bought the house back.
Yeah, well, they
usually do.
They not usually they bid in, yeah. They didn't want it stolen completely.
Right.
So you got a huge deficiency there.
Yes, sir. Okay,
severally and jointly.
Yes.
Oh.
I received a phone call and a letter from an attorney from the mortgage insurance company.
Yep. You had TMI?
Yes, sir.
Yep. And they are definitely going to come after you.
Okay. They, I talked with the gentleman, and his letter states that he would be interested in settling with me separately, away from my partner, in the range of $5,000 to $6,000.
They're trying to salvage something.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I can either pay it off in one lump sum, or they would consider installment plans of 24 to 36 months. My question is, and I do have an attorney on retainer, and I can run this by him, but I'm just wondering, are they really going to come after me?
Without question.
Do they have a time limit? I know.
Time limit to what?
Can they have this deficiency against me forever?
They can file. Sure, they can. They can file not forever. Yes, effectively, because they can file a judgment, and clearly the judgment's going to be granted.
Right.
And then they can renew it. However often in your jurisdiction has to be renewed. Yeah, you could.
The reason I ask that is because there are so many foreclosures in this area and subsequent bankruptcies, and I know of 2 other couples in the same situation as I am, and they were foreclosed on, but they have never heard.
Did they have PMI?
I don't know.
Because the PMI companies are a separate issue, you see.
Okay. Well,
the reason that the banks, your bank is not going to go after you because they got theirs.
Yes, sir.
So they have no reason or interest to go after you. That's probably where the number came from, that they bid. They bid at a number where the PMI would pick up the balance owed.
I see.
Now the PMI company's on the hook, and the private mortgage insurance companies, and I talked to the chairman of these companies here a while ago, they're in trouble. I don't mean they're going to go under, but they've been on the hook and burned so badly, they've got a salvage team out there.
Okay, well, my question to you, Bruce, is if I agree and pay this $5,000 to $6,000, is that going to satisfy them and get me off the hook?
Oh, you're off.
Will they still come after my partner, or will they just...
Oh, yeah. You can't, you shouldn't sign off for her.
And I don't want to.
Well, they'll still they're going to try to collect from both of you.
Okay. Why is $5,000 or $6,000 acceptable?
Because if you're in a fire, you grab whatever you can before the building burns down.
Okay.
They're trying to grab something.
Right. $21,000 would obviously put me in bankruptcy.
That's exactly right. They'd say, well, how much can we reasonably expect this woman to pay without her seeking the protection of bankruptcy? Some wise guy that said the People's Republic of Massachusetts. Hello there, Cambridge. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I am well, thank you.
Yeah, I used to hear your program all the time when I lived in Michigan.
Yes, sir.
And my older mother used to go to sleep to your program.
Well, I'm delighted we could entertain both you and your mother. You don't listen anymore?
I'm not sure if it's on over here.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yes, sir. Your Cambridge is up near what city? What
Boston.
Well, we're on in Boston on business radio. I don't know the frequency.
Okay.
So we are there live in Boston.
I'll look for it.
Okay, guy.
My situation involves a car accident, and I wondered, the limitations of the insurance are $100,000 per person and $300,000 per accident.
Per occurrence, right?
Yes. Okay. A judge has assessed damages on a lawsuit.
Hold on, which way are you? Are you the defendant or are you the plaintiff?
I'm the plaintiff.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. He's assessed the damages at $450,000.
For you as an individual.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I wondered if there's any way to collect beyond the $100,000 from the regular coverage.
Do you have underinsured? Were you a pedestrian or what?
I was a passenger.
In his car?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you have your own car?
I didn't at the time.
Well, then the answer is no. The only way that you have a shot, and it's probably a slim shot, is if he could demonstrate, the other guy, that the insurance company gave him a lousy defense because they anticipated throwing the policy in.
I don't follow you.
Well, the insurance company probably knew at the outset that the $100,000 was going to go. That the award, you must have been pretty severely injured, I assume.
Yeah.
All right. So the insurance company takes a look at this and says, we're going to go over the limit. We know that. Now, they probably offered just what's called throw the policy into your attorney. Said, we'll give you $100,000, that's it. Did they not do that?
Well, he's been talking to them, so...
No. I'm talking about before the fact, before the trial, before anything. Did they not offer to make a settlement with you?
No.
They didn't?
No.
Nothing? I don't believe that. Your attorney might not have told you, but if you're telling me your injury was as grievous as you described, what happened to you?
We were in a...
no, this is what happened to your body is all.
Okay, I had a broken neck, basically, and short paralysis from a stroke.
How old are you?
I'm 40.
How much do you earn?
It was a small job.
How much?
You know, it was a small temporary job.
Well, you see, part of damages are figured on your earning capacity.
Uh-huh.
How much did you earn?
Well, look, I'm not really sure exactly.
$1,000 a week, $100 a week. I'm just giving you a ballpark.
We're making about $300 a week.
All right, $15,000 a year. All right.
Yeah.
You see, that's part of what this all goes into this recipe. What I'm trying to do is ascertain whether the insurance company would say, look, we're going to lose. It's called throwing in the policy. It means we know we're going to lose what we cover the guy for.
Yeah.
Therefore, we'll offer it to you. Now, the problem with that is that the insurance company, if you insist upon bringing an action, must give this guy a vigorous defense, even knowing full well that they're going to cough up the limits of the policy to begin with. They just can't get some kid 2 weeks out of law school and say, well, we gave him a lawyer, the hell with the defense, because we're on the hook anyway. Because courts have held under those circumstances that I've described, if they don't give a vigorous, decent defense, they can be held responsible for the whole works. Now, I suspect, this is a friend of yours whose car you're in?
Yes.
All right. I suspect he got from his insurance company what's called an overage letter.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning he was told that there's a good possibility when this litigates that the damages will exceed your policy limit, so you are put on notice that it might be to your advantage to have your own attorney there as well as ours.
Uh-huh.
Did he receive such a letter?
No.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I'm quite sure.
Okay, I'm surprised.
Huh.
That would be, well, you say you're sure, you're sure.
Now,
what's your relationship to the driver, the owner?
We were friends. He was a manager of a company that I was working with.
Oh, I see. Well, this is an example of why people are they say, "Oh, I got 100,000," which is not enough insurance. $1 million is the very minimum you should walk around with.
Now, here's a question that we've kind of tossed around.
We meaning your attorney?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
The company that whose truck I was in had several vehicles, and I wondered if there's any way to stack the policies to be covered under more than one.
Why would they? How could you stack it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the company has so much car insurance.
No, they have a $100,000 limit. I know what stacking is. I don't see how it possibly can be done. Insurance companies are getting very gun shy for very good reason. Stacking should not be allowed. You're the guy that, I'm not saying that you're a bad guy, but whoever bought that insurance only paid for $100,000. They should not be, the insurance company then should not have to cough up $450,000.
In a sense, they paid for more than that because they have, a dozen vehicles.
Doesn't matter. Theoretically, all dozen of those vehicles could have had an accident that day. Theoretically. Each of them going to $100,000.
Okay.
So it's not, this is, how much do you carry in your car?
Pardon me?
How much insurance do you carry on your car?
It's a 2040.
You're even worse than this guy. 2040. You of all people that shouldn't do that, you should know better.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You should carry at least $1 million. For the very reason, if for no other reason, forgetting about your responsibility, you don't have much money apparently, but you do, you may have come up some money from this award, but beyond that, socially, here's a guy that did some damage and there wasn't enough insurance to replace what happened to you. Well, they're 2.5 times more responsible than you are. You said 20 and 40 you have?
Correct.
They're 5 times as responsible as you are.
Yeah.
So I think you are dramatically underinsured too, but I don't see how you're going to go to them.
Yeah.
I wish you well, kid.
Thanks.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. More Talknet. Silver Spring, Maryland. Hello there.
Bruce, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Great show. Been listening for years.
Well, thank you, sir. What's on your mind?
Well, I just recently have created a design for a T-shirt that I showed to some people, and it's getting kind of good reviews. And what I want to do, I've created a prototype. Rather than going and spending a lot of money to start, I created a prototype. And I'm on near the eastern shore of Maryland, a lot of boardwalk T-shirt places. I want to go this weekend, which is a Memorial Day weekend, and show this T-shirt to a number of shops and get some feedback.
Yeah, they're going to get started. This is the beginning of the summer season.
Oh, it's a great weekend. Now, I think a ballpark figure is, and I could bring this down a little bit, but let's say I personally can produce this shirt for $5.
In fact, you can get that's including the cost of the shirt?
Yes. Oh, no, actually, I'm not sure. I talked to a silk screener, but I'm not sure if that does include the cost of the shirt.
You've answered that question. I was going to say, how are you going to do the imprinting with silk screen? Okay.
Right, exactly.
I don't think you can get any kind of a decent T-shirt for $5 today.
You mean silk screened?
No, just the T-shirt itself.
Oh, okay.
The garment.
Okay. Well, let's say whatever the number is. Let's say that when I go to these people, somebody's interested and they say they're going to market this for $15, retail for $15.
Whoa! Let's stop right there. Can you? I'm asking the question.
Okay.
In today's world, can you sell a decent T-shirt retail for $15? I don't think so.
You mean it's too high?
Too low.
Oh, too low. Okay.
This is some years ago. I was at a football game.
Right.
College game.
Right.
I'll tell you where it was. It was Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. A little chilly.
Right.
I couldn't believe $40 for a sweatshirt.
I was in Key West and bought where Hemingway used to drink, the Sloppy Joes. $20 for a nice cotton T-shirt with his logo on it. So
we sell T-shirts in our bars.
Right.
And I really don't know how much we sell them. We buy them primarily for our wait staff. But I'm pretty certain they're more than $15.
All right, can you say 20?
Well, you can say what you wish, but there's no point in being unrealistic is what I'm trying to get to.
Well, my point is, what can if I start to talk any kind of business with anybody this weekend, if I'm going to produce the T-shirts and just UPS them to to them. What's the breakdown, the percentage of the breakdown?
Well, they're going to want to work on a resort area for that kind of stuff. They're going to want to work on at least 50%.
Okay.
That's 100% markup, 50% profit. Do you know what I'm talking about? When I said 50%, if something costs $1, how much would you sell it for?
Oh, I'm sorry. If
I say I want to make 50%,
right,
and I sell it, it costs me $1. How much do I have to sell it for?
$1.50.
$2.
Okay.
Now you have to understand something. Percentage of profit is always correctly equated against selling price, not cost. So if I said I want to, if you take my dollar example, all right?
Okay.
It's called 100% markup.
Okay.
But a 50% profit. Do you see why?
Not quite.
Well, it's easy. We marked it up from $1 to $2.
Okay.
$1 to $1 is 100%, isn't it?
Right.
All right. So we got 100% markup.
Okay.
But how much of the $2 when we sell the thing is profit?
$1.
And how much is $1 of $2?
1.
No. How much is it in percentage?
50%.
That's correct. So we got a 50% gross profit, 100% markup.
Okay.
They're going to want at least that, maybe more. In places like the boardwalks and so forth, maybe more.
Right.
And I wouldn't go approach these people this weekend if I were you.
You wouldn't?
No, sir.
Why wouldn't you?
Because you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Until you, I don't mean that critically.
Right.
But you could screw the whole deal up. You see?
I understand.
Now, what you could do, but be very careful. If you have the design, you could go talk to them about the design, but say very candidly, I don't have a handle. I'm getting quotes on production, so I can't tell you what the price will be.
Right.
But this is what it'll look like.
Great. That's what I want to do.
But the first thing the guy's going to say to you is how much.
Right.
Now you got to have an answer for that, and the answer's got to be well thought out.
I understand.
That's all.
So let me ask you this. This sounds like a good idea. Perhaps if I get a number of people that are interested, I can produce these. I can get them silkscreen and then just UPS them, and we can.
No, you be a little careful. How are you going to get paid?
Right.
How are you going to get paid?
I would like to work out a contract with these.
Contract is worth the paper that the two people, the value of the people. How do you know who these people are? The answer is you do not.
Right.
The answer is you got to ship it COD. You can't afford to get burned.
Right.
Got to go COD. And you can UPS at COD or other.
And are they buying these, or is this consignment? Or
oh, absolutely, positively, and unequivocally. And does that sound pretty firm?
They're buying them.
If you can't sell them, forget about it.
No consignment.
No consignment. Any fool can leave stuff on consignment.
I understand.
Because they say, "What the hell? We'll give it back to the guy." There's no risk on their part, nor is there any incentive to sell it.
I understand. And one other thing. This is there's two parts to this. There's a graphic, and then there's some copy, and it's kind of a new age design, kind of unity of the people on the planet and so forth.
Unity of the people on the planet. What does that mean?
Well, it's something we need in this world.
What do we need?
We need for people to stop fighting and to start being more amicable towards each other.
I suppose.
But in any case, the line of copy could easily be changed to any language. So this shirt could go international. So I might be jumping ahead a little bit here.
I think you are.
Okay. So what would be the best? Just go what I'm doing right now. Just go with that line.
Yeah, but just understand that you sound relatively young. How old are you?
I'm 50.
50? By golly, you sound a lot younger.
I've been doing enough to keep myself young.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Your enthusiasm is obvious, but the thing that will sink many freshman entrepreneurs, which is what you are, it would appear.
Yes.
Is underestimating costs and overestimating sales.
Right.
And it sounds to me like you better get a real good handle on your costs. And it's not just what it costs to buy the product. That's part of it, certainly. But then you have other overhead, and if you can't recapture that in the sale, you're going to go belly up and maybe lose what you've already worked for. Be very cautious of that. I'm Bruce Williams, and I'm delighted you're here. And that one you can take straight to Barclays. This is Talknet. Hello there, Milwaukee. Welcome to my world.
Hello, Bruce. I appreciate your time this evening.
Well, you're very, very welcome, kid. What's on your mind?
I've got a question. I'm putting together a letter of resignation
Huh, you're quitting me, huh?
I'm quitting.
Son of a gun.
And I need your advice on what I should put in that letter to my employer so that
Well,
we're on good terms.
Why are we quitting?
Well, I would like to relocate my family to another part of the country and move back home where the rest of the family is, and be closer to grandparents and parents.
Where's that?